Okay, friends, I am jumping on even a little bit early. Look at the thunderstorm that is developing right now in the western sides of Orange County. This is a live look to our winter garden camera, and we've got 50 and 60-mile-an-hour winds right now developing all out by itself. I mean, it's the littlest of thunderstorms here, and there's so much more to get into, but I had to just jump on. This little cell right here is producing what you're seeing on the big screen right now, and it is sideways rain through portions of the western side of Orange County. So it shows you that we have got an extremely active day that is going to be out here when you've got a storm like this right over Winter Garden. Again, our camera here, it might even be hard to tell the story. If you just look at the bottom of your screen and you see that palm tree, it's getting knocked around. Obviously, we've got, a couple of frames jumping here, there, just because right now it's sheets of rain. If you look in the foreground, you can see the rain coming across the camera right now. This is a significant little cell that is developing right over Winter Garden. So I wanted to jump on and I made sure I covered that for you guys live. Now look, we've got a lot more impactful active weather across the region. Good to see you guys on this Wednesday afternoon. Rusty with you here. Not only do we have that camera, of course, but our other cameras across Central Florida. The bottom line is that's a small little storm right over Winter Garden, but man, I mean, it's coming down right now. And that kind of weather is what we expect to see over the next several hours. A lot of sea breeze interaction for today, a lot of thunderstorms in general. They're going to be rocking our area pretty good. All right, so just had to show you that right away, but let's get into the bigger story here, because right now, most of the biggest storms are east of Orlando and east of I-4, but they're trying to work their way back off towards the west. At this point in time, we did have a special weather statement. They might reissue that, but we also have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Brevard County. So I do want to bring on that information for you guys. You'll see that scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Again, there is a severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect for Brevard County. It includes places like Palm Bay, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, and Malabar for the next 12 minutes. Storm is basically creeping right now north up the coastline, could producing some winds of 60 miles an hour and maybe even some 3/4 inch size hail. So we're darn near severe criteria where that comes from. The Melbourne airport has just reported a 61-mile-an-hour wind. I want to be clear about this. From the storm that developed over Winter Garden that you guys saw live, which had some 50-plus-mile-an-hour winds, and then what's been happening along the East Coast already, we are in store for some damaging, impactful winds for today. That 61-mile-an-hour wind gust was not that long ago at 413. Maybe you live in this severe thunderstorm warning of Brevard County. Let me know in the comments section below what you guys are seeing here. These storms are moving west as the East Coast sea breeze, which is clearly defined right now on the radar from Melbourne, begins to march inland, with additional thunderstorms again kind of beginning to develop. Just to zoom back in and show you this thunderstorm, it doesn't look like much on radar, but man, did it come down over Winter Garden in Oakland and the western sides of Ocoee. And that's just one little cell. Then you get into Volusia County. We do have a special weather statement here. This is going to be for Deltona, DeLand, New Smyrna Beach, Orange City, and Lake Helen for the next 25 minutes to the top of the hour. Nearly a severe thunderstorm because winds are 55 miles an hour within this and some half-inch sized hail. And these storms, I think, are going to go up in a hurry. They're going to get rowdy in a hurry, and they're going to produce some problems here. The thunderstorm actually is pretty darn significant over the Osteen area. Notice all of that lightning near that core of highest reflectivity. That's a hail core trying to develop right now over the Osteen area. I think we even had a little bit in the way of some pea-sized hail in the Winter Garden area too from that camera. Shower thunderstorms are beginning to develop over Lake Mary and the Winter Springs and Oviedo areas. and it's just going to be an impactful day across Central Florida. This is what it looks like when I throw it into motion for you guys. Right now, everything is developing along the East Coast and then slowly going to try and build inland. But then as it does so, the opportunity for the storms to swing back off towards the east. So we've talked about in previous live streams the slow, erratic movement as these storms begin to develop. And that's exactly what we're seeing at the hour right now. Again, if you guys are being impacted by some of these storms, please let me know in the comments section below. Back over, and we still have the Winter Garden camera up here, guys, but again, just a hellacious storm there. Looks like our Disney camera, we're losing that from time to time. I'll continue to reset that one for you. Let me bring up the Winter Garden camera full, just so you guys can see it. Again, severe thunderstorm warning continues for Brevard County. So basically right now, there is still no visibility from our Winter Garden camera. The winds are still easily over 40 miles an hour. We're probably still blowing over 50. And again, from time to time, you know, it's a little bit in the way of some pauses to this camera, but when it picks up, you'll still see the rain moving in. By the way, all of that wind right now is moving from north to south. Believe it or not, it's a north wind over Winter Garden as this thunderstorm is developing. But it's a hellacious thunderstorm that has developed there. And if it continues to expand, I mean, the Weather Service has to put on at least a special weather statement over the western side of Orange County. The other thing you're going to start to see on our live ticker down below is the opportunity for some flooding rains. A flood advisory is now up for Brevard County, and other areas of potential flooding are likely with this. We're likely to see several inches, 3, 4, 5+ inches of rain in some areas out of some of this activity as we go through the remainder of the afternoon hours. But again, it's just a hellacious storm there. Back over to our live camera network, again, monitoring the situation. So Conway cam, we're looking back off to the east, a little bit north of the Brevard camera as far as the Brevard storms. The southeast Sand Lake camera will be able to show you some of those thunderstorms in Brevard County, trying to move inland at the hour with the East Coast sea breeze, marching inland as well. And again, already one report out of Melbourne of winds of over 60 miles an hour. Again, if you guys have been impacted by these storms, please let me know in the comments section below. I appreciate that. We'll continue to monitor the situation for us here. But again, you know, just as a snapshot in Winter Garden, if you live in the western sides of Orange County, there's not even a special weather statement with this thunderstorm, and it's producing winds of 40 and 50 miles an hour. So extremely reduced visibility, and that's just a wee pop of a storm compared to what we're seeing right now along the East Coast. All right, great to see everyone. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you guys taking a second. Let me know what's happening in your area. When I get an opportunity, I promise I'll get into the chat, but I still want to obviously discuss what's been happening here. Special marine warning is in effect. The severe thunderstorm warning for the next 6 minutes. Again, earlier, just before this 43 was clocked at 4:29, about 10 minutes prior to that, the Melbourne airport had a 61-mile-an-hour wind. So if you live in June Park, Melbourne, O'Galley, Melbourne Beach, Indian Atlantic, Indian Harbor Beach, Satellite Beach, Palm Shores, up towards the Space Force Base, you guys are under this severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45. Now look, there is the opportunity that this could still be extended as it goes to the north. So if you live in Suntree or Vieira North or the southern sides of Merritt Island, Rockledge, Cocoa, towards the Cape, get prepared for some rowdy storms moving into your direction. Again, as the sea breeze marches inland behind it, thunderstorms are developing in Osceola County. There is this little cell right here. It's like I almost want to wave the flag at the Weather Service and say there should probably be a special weather statement on this storm because, again, you can see it pulsing up. Look at the higher reflectivity. By the way, this is exactly where this camera is. Right? We talked about this. This camera is located right over this higher reflectivity zone, and it is just a blinding storm that is developing there south of the Turnpike and 50. And additional storms are firing up very quickly as well. They have just thrown up, and this is what the Weather Service is going to do for today, right? we're just in store for such a widespread chaotic afternoon that they are likely to just continue to fire up very large special weather statements to try and encompass a lot of thunderstorms under one roof, if you will, while also accounting for the fact that additional storms are likely to develop in this area even before we have that. Big crack of thunder outside right now. This, and by the way, there's absolutely a little bit of hail. 100% there's a little bit of hail right now within this storm in Winter Garden. So again, you don't have to have a special weather statement or severe thunderstorm warning. Sometimes the Weather Service, they don't catch the beginnings of these severe storms. But right here at CFLW, Central Florida's live only weather channel, we can with our active. I can tell you right now, there is hail coming down in Winter Garden. Can you guys hear it? I will tell you right now, the camera is my camera. So this is my house that is getting hit with some hail right now. Can you guys hear it? Let me step over to the window. Can you guys hear the pings? So it's going to be dime size, it looks like. So dime-sized hail from this storm. And again, you guys are seeing this live right now. And there's not even a special weather statement on this puppy. Again, back out to the camera. So from that view, we've got some dime-sized hail right now. Still coming down. I'm going to step back over because I'm curious to see. Do you have some? P? I saw a couple of dimes. Well, that's basically melted. My wife brought up some melted hail. Is it damaging? I don't think so. And gosh, I hope not, because we got our roof replaced about 5 years ago from a previous hailstorm. But yeah, I would put it at, I would say, oh, there's definitely a dime. I would put it at mainly P, but up to dime. Now, typically speaking, you can absolutely handle that. And again, let me be clear. It's this storm right here that doesn't even have a special weather statement on it. Again, the Weather Service, they do great work, but sometimes they can miss the beginnings of severe storms. So that's what's happening outside of the McCranie hacienda at the hour to go along with just a tremendous amount of lightning. All right, back out to the big perspective. So I just wanted to show you that, guys, that in real time. Look, we've got coverage that I think is going to last a long time for you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. If you want to like and subscribe to help out the new roof fund, I appreciate that. I don't think we're going to need that. All right, haven't had a ton of time to get back into the chat. Again, I appreciate everyone jumping in and letting me know what's happening across your area. Hopefully, the notification came out that I'm live. If not, make sure you share this with your family and friends. So, severe thunderstorm warning is going to expire in Brevard County. It is going to be replaced by a special weather statement. The storm's not moving very quickly. It's moving northeast at 10. So the extent of the new special weather statement here is not significantly farther north than what we're seeing. It still is going to include Palm Bay, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, and in the Atlantic. Again, winds up in Merritt Island are up to 35. You can see from our other cameras, thunderstorms are just beginning to explode across Metro Orlando. Again, nice little hail core, probably P to dime at most. Again, south side of Winter Garden. Winter Garden, by the way, is just a very elongated city. You're bracketed by Oakland to the west and then Ocoee to the east. So it basically parallels, it goes up and down the 429 to Plant Street here on the south side of Lake Apopka. All of the worst weather is south of the Turnpike and Colonial there. But again, a very large special weather statement here in UCF area towards Alafaya, Oviedo, Winter Springs. This is encompassing that storm that I mentioned that likely has a hail core over the Osteen area. Let me tell you something right now, guys. As we move along with the coverage today, you do not want to see, and there's more hail falling right now, you do not want to see your area fall under that purple or neon blue. Now it's getting a little bit more significant. Now the hail size is kicking up a notch. Does anyone want to let the Weather Service know that they should probably have a severe thunderstorm warning on this? Let's check the hail size, guys. Yeah, so we've got consistent dime now. And again, it might be hard for you guys to see from the camera just because it's absolutely blinding. But winds are probably 50 to 60. And that hail is solidly in the dime category now. Let us pray it doesn't get any bigger than that. Certainly mixed in with some peas. But my patio screen, the top of it is almost white with hail. Can you guys see that, by the way? So you guys can see the hail now clearly. If you guys look, so that's the patio screen that's slanting down, and if you look at the top of that screen, you see all those white chunks? That's the hail. But this is why we have these live cameras, to help tell the story. So again, look on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. That's hail that's on the top of the patio roof. And the winds are still easily 50 miles an hour. So hopefully we don't have any damage across all of Central Florida. Again, I'm a resident just like you guys, so let's hope there's no significant damage anywhere. But you have an idea of the storm capability for today, right? And again, there is not a special weather statement or a severe thunderstorm warning on this storm. I feel like I'm trying to scream to the Weather Service. However, here's the thing. It has to be, oh, there they go. They finally issued one. Here's the thing. It has to be inch-size hail. That's not the criteria. These winds are easily 60 miles an hour with this storm right now. Holy crap. These winds are whipping. I don't know. Golly, I don't know if I can do this. Let me see here. This might be the stupidest idea I've ever had. I don't think I can actually do this. Seeing if I could remove the camera. I don't think I can do that. I almost wanted you guys to see, and I'd knocked off my camera. I was almost going to take this camera and point it away. So I'm going to have to reset this camera shot. I apologize. But I wanted you guys to see the wind. Wow. Okay. So there is a new special weather statement as well. There is a new special weather statement. Again, I'm going to reset this shot too. So there's the new special weather statement to account for the storms that have developed in Lake County into the western sides and central sides of Orange County. Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm just going to reset this camera shot. This was a horrible idea on my part to try and move this camera. I know I'm looking right at it. I should probably take myself off cam, but whatever. We'll do it in real time. A couple things I got to do here real quick, so bear with me. I wanted to try and just swing this. I probably could have just brought it up and then swung it over, so that's my bad, instead of manually trying to do it. So I got to reset this camera shot real fast, guys. Keep the comments going. Yeah, come over here for me, please. Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Now, the really fantastic thing about this is that also I have a preset for this, and it doesn't work. That's the preset right now, which is horrible. It's okay. It'll take 2 seconds. Zoom in a little bit. And that's probably good for government work right now. How's my focus? Who really wants to see me quite focused anyway? And just make sure that autofocus is on still. Actually, we don't want autofocus on, I think. I think if we do autofocus, it starts to go crazy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So again, we're good. Apologize for that. If I could have shown you those 60-mile-an-hour winds, that really would have been something. But you guys got the idea of what's happening right now in Winter Garden. So let's continue the story. Obviously, if you're tuning in, you've seen that these storms have gone wild in a hurry across Central Florida. Very active weather day. Sea breeze is absolutely fired up today. These storms along the sea breeze are developing in an extremely strong fashion across Metro Orlando, including Orange County, Citadel County, Volusia County, Brevard County, Osceola County. Earlier today, northern Volusia, Flagler County had some significant storms as well. Winds of over 60 miles an hour, which we absolutely experienced here in the western sides of Orange County, potentially up to inch size hail. Hopefully it stays what we saw, more dime size. Hopefully we stay on the lower end of the coin size hail for today, but it's not out of the question to get some significant hail developing, and we're going to have the opportunity for some flooding rains as well. Again, all of the information down below. Now, by the way, here's another hail core that has developed Groveland, Claremont south on 50. Guess what? These storms are trying to kind of slowly, erratically develop at the hour. Ultimately, most of them are likely as they get a little bit stronger to try and push back east. Okay? But again, the movement right now is basically zip. All right? So thunderstorms abound across our area at this point in time. And the opportunity, that, again, to produce some significant rainfall, lightning, and potentially some hail. That storm over downtown Orlando is beginning to flare up as well. You see this square, or excuse me, this triangle? I know my shapes. You guys see this triangle over Millennia? Potentially up to inch hail size here. That's what that little cell is showing right over 441. I believe that is OBT, and then just east of Millennia. Okay? So Edgewood, Millennia, up to I-4, that is a hail core there too. So as I've mentioned, they are going to make these special weather statements extremely large because these storms are just going crazy right now, and they're going to issue them for very large areas for ultimately the same kinds of impacts. 50-mile-an-hour winds, hopefully no more than half-inch size hail. Does look like some of the hail's already melted, but you get the idea of what could be potentially coming through. And this sea breeze will continue to fire up storms along it, but we're also getting a good interaction as well. Both are beginning to merge, so you get the slow erratic movement, you get extremely, exceptionally strong storms, and then they stick around for a while. So again, this is just one of those days. All right, back over to this view. Winter Garden cam to the north. Winds have relaxed in Winter Garden. Sand Lake cameras looking back to the south. We've got our Conway cam as well, which again is going to show you some of the thunderstorms developing near the downtown Orlando area. Just to the north of this camera, at least at this point in time, right? Obviously, the attractions, always an area we monitor. It's a dark sky there. Nothing significant so far in the southwest sides of Orange County, but it is coming. Real quick, guys, because I just jumped on right away. Obviously, we've got our sponsor, the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Look, man, if I had an insurance claim I had to go through with this hailstorm, I don't think I'm going to have to, but this is the gentleman I'm going to be calling to walk me through that insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy review, so I can call up my friend Bobby and say, look at my policy, let me know what's happening. Scan the QR code, it'll get you to their website. You can give them a call as well, 407-502-0053. We appreciate the Lean Law Firm being one of the sponsors of CFLW Live, your live-only weather channel. If you want to become a sponsor of the channel, scan that QR code and become a part of this growing community. Again, great to see you guys for today. So much activity that's going to be happening. I'm going to continue to walk you through it. First opportunity to obviously jump into the chat. I'm not going to be able to go back in time very much so. So I do apologize for that. Obviously, though, I do want to keep up with the fan funding. I do want to thank PebMets for the $10 super chat. Thank you for that, PebMets. Let's get the hearts out in chat for PebMets for the super chat there as well. Hope you're doing well for today. Just again, jumping in to what's happening right now. Jane says the temperature dropped in the Pineda area. I've got people falling down my steps. There's PebMets. $10 super thanks. Appreciate that, my friend. Okay, DDT King. Pea-sized hail in Deltona. Keep it coming. Osteen getting hammered. How about Claremont? Cars and Cat says I had a gust that made my roof creak. Deltona here. Winds were wicked earlier, appear to have calmed down now, but it pushed my pool screen door open. Look, guys, that's going to be the most widespread impact from these storms is the strong winds, at least 50 and 60 plus miles an hour, right? Absolutely. You saw from the Winter Garden Cam, that 100% was some 60 mile an hour winds. Again, more from Deltona from Lisa. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm just jumping back through the chat here real quick. Looks like Deltona, very well represented. Claremont. True Warrior Jesus says, well, certain things might keep me away from church, and that storm did. Hope we can get back out. Jimmy Z says, storms are building west of Scottsmore. Currently can hear the hail for sure. Yeah, that was a nasty storm. KT Speciality says, yeah, we got some heavy storming in Oak Galley, Brevard County. Loving it, but please stay safe. Absolutely. Look, again, you know, thunder, storms will help out. The drought situation will cool things off. But with the intense heat that we've had, the opportunity that these storms are going to get rowdy in a hurry. So let's reset the scenario as we get to 5 o'clock. Special weather statements are going to continue beyond 5 o'clock for these storms, right? So this is a very bad storm over the western side of Orange County. Potentially it's come down just a little bit. Now look, these storms that are kind of out by themselves are likely to be what we call pulse thunderstorms. They're going to probably do their thing in a 30-minute time frame and then weaken a little bit. Certainly we had a hail core south of Groveland and Claremont between 33 and 27. Again, these storms are not moving right now. This is a hail core to the nines just east of Millennia, Oak Ridge, just west of Edgewood, just south of I-4. By the way, 5 o'clock, folks driving home, here comes some probably dime-sized hail and potentially higher there. Again, if anything, it's slowly creeping north and east. So here it comes to I-4. Okay? And again, I believe that is likely, that's probably OBT, isn't it? Or JYP. I always forget. Of course, we can do our tracker. It may not say which one, though. I do have our, and by the way, it's still 40 mile an hour winds here in Winter Garden. I can tell you that much. I mean, it's still a really bad storm. Yeah, it's just going to be made by the highway. Okay. But the bottom line is, there you go. Now, we connect with our other special weather statement storm, UCF, Oviedo, Chuliota, goes until 5:15. Osteen, hail core there. Could this hail core get close to Sanford? Absolutely. Again, slow erratic movement. There's not much of a change here. I mean, this has it going east at 14, but this hail core, I promise you, has built west of 415. It's gotten closer to I-4, if anything, maybe close to the northern shoreline of Lake Monroe. If you live on the other side of Lake Monroe? Let us know in the comments section below. South and east of Deltona, east of DeBary, north of downtown Sanford. But look how this entire line has quickly filled in along our sea breeze. Additional thunderstorms, the northern sides of Lake County. Additional storms in the northeast side of Osceola County. Additional thunderstorms developing in our south central areas. There will be the opportunity, not as concentrated, but the opportunity for some storms to get into our southwest areas, portions of Polk County, Hillsborough County, guaranteed. We'll see if it gets, eastern sides of Pasco, likely. Same thing for Hernando. Can it get as far west and south as Manatee, Sarasota, and Pinellas counties? We'll watch the situation. Still have this special weather statement for Brevard County that goes also until 5:15. Winds there up to 55 miles an hour. Palm Bay, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, and India Atlantic as well. By the way, all of Central Florida is under an excessive rainfall risk for today. So if you live across the state, you have the opportunity for some flooding rains. Hopefully it is marginal, minor flooding, but we already have some flood advisories that are currently in effect. That's the next thing I want to look out for. Checking out our local storm reports. Well, here we go. Literally where I live. Retired NWS employee must live within a mile of me. Nickel-sized hail. Thank you. Thank you. I knew that there were some larger than dime. 3 miles southwest of downtown Winter Garden near Stony Brook West, around 4:41. You saw that storm live here at CFLW. So there's a retired NWS employee. Remember, storm spotters will provide the weather service with these reports of up to some nickel-sized hail. Now, again, nickel gets to be to the damaging hail potential. That's 0.88 inches, okay? Hopefully, we're not going to get a lot of that, but there's an opportunity, which is why you reach out to the Lean Law Firm. Earlier today, not that long ago, 4:13, less than an hour, Melbourne International had a 61-mile-an-hour wind. If you guys live in Brevard County and you've been impacted by some of those significant winds, let me know. Those are the two weather reports that we have right now. There was also, I believe, a lightning strike there near Lake Butler. But just goes to show you again that, we're going to get some impacts here, mainly in the form of wind, but possibly the opportunity for some larger sized hail too. Now, with the storms that are moving into Metro Orlando, we can show you that with our Sand Lake cameras. That's looking south and east. That is the bad thunderstorms coming out of the northeast sides of Osceola County and trying to sneak into the south central and southeastern sides of Orange County. So again, you've got the backlit sky. You've had temperatures today well into the mid-90s. Been very hot, and now you have fuel to the fire with the sea breeze coming in and producing all these storms to get going. So obviously extremely rowdy nature to the activity that we have here across the area today. I'm just going to take a look at our camera network myself here, guys. This is a good opportunity for me to see. So there's the thunderstorm over the Conway area. Southwest Sand Lake has some lowerings as well. Winter Garden is still mainly covered up. Still a heck of a lot of lightning too. Corey, good to see you guys. So storms are not moving very much at all. That's the problem, right? The problem is we have slow, erratic movement to the storms as we speak. Now, eventually, they might try and push a little bit back off towards the east, but there is very erratic movement with the storms right now, which is why we also have the opportunity to see some flooding conditions. And we do have some flood advisories that are currently in effect right now. I'm just going to double check one thing and then we'll get into those flood advisories. The flood advisory right now is going to be for Brevard County, where that severe thunderstorm warning was. And again, they could have 3 to 4 inches of rain in some of those spots. You'll see some of that information scrolling at the bottom of your screen as well. I would expect additional opportunities for flood advisories to continue as we move through the latter half of this afternoon. I certainly think that some of these storms could continue to promote 3, 4 plus inches of rain in some locations. Now look at this thunderstorm here that has really continued to fire up. special weather statement continues for the next 10 minutes, likely to be extended. Again, when we put this into motion, guys, you're just not going to see, you're going to see more kind of elongation to these storms. Storms just kind of getting going, but not a lot of movement. If anything, they're trying to pull back to the east as they develop, just a little bit. But still, the East Coast sea breeze marching west is allowing thunderstorms to develop behind it, okay? So you still have some propagation of storms back off towards the west. Now, as the sea breeze slams into these storms, right? As the sea breeze begins to slam into these storms, we're likely to have additional heavier initiation. And that could include places like MCO in the south central portions overall of the Orlando metro area. Whew, this is a day. Just seeing if there's any more hail. So I don't think we had nickels at the house. So it shows you, I think we had dimes for sure. I didn't see a lot of nickels, but hopefully not. And again, we still have this hail core just east of Millennia in Oak Ridge. That's the Millennia Mall, if you know that. We do have a building thunderstorm near the attractions, right across World Drive, 192, 429, and then Western Way, kind of the back way into the attractions. This is another storm that could also have at least some smaller hail south of Claremont, beginning to move across 27. This is another opportunity for this storm as it drifts east to get back over western sides of Orange County. Again, additional spotty cells have developed south and west of that. We have our other special weather statement here in Brevard County. That will continue also until 5:15. This storm has lost a little bit of its punch, but this is also the area under the flood advisory too. So flood advisory for a lot of these locations within this yellow polygon, and that I believe goes until 6 o'clock. We can take a look at that flood advisory real quick. Storm's picking right back up over Winter Garden. It's like Winter Garden can't catch a break right now, Western Orange County. So the flood advisory until 6 o'clock. 1 to 2 inches have already fallen, an additional 1 to 2, so 2 to 4. I think we're going to be on the higher end of that in some locations. This is going to be for Palm Bay, Melbourne, Satellite Beach, Malabar, in the Atlantic, West Melbourne, Indian Harbor Beach, Melbourne Village, Melbourne Airport, June Park, O'Galley, and Spessard, Holland Park. Again, portions of Brevard County, flood advisory until 6 p.m. All right. You can just see from the Winter Garden camera, it's still covered up. Winds are still trying to gust over 40 miles an hour. So keep the reports coming, guys. Let me jump back into the chat. Yeah, I would imagine traffic is going to be quite poor. Hello from Miko. A lot of lightning and thunder there. Loud thunder on Columbus Street. I've got this thing asking me questions. Yeah, 441 OBT, thank you very much. Hi, Therese, just thunder in Kissimmee so far. Windy in St. Cloud. Linda, good to see you also in Brevard County, just beginning to rumble there. So again, appreciate all the reports. Keep them coming in. Obviously, we're going to be impacted travel-wise, right? Guys, remember what I said at the beginning? Weather Service, they're not going to play today. They're just going to throw up massively large special weather statements. This new special weather statement goes from Orange City all the way down to the south side of Osceola County. This is a massive new special weather statement because they understand the scenario that we've been describing. These storms are going to continue to pulse up. They're going to be slow and erratic moving. There's going to be additional storms developing where they aren't right now. And so instead of continuing to try and hit little pot shots where these storms are now and trying to guess exactly where they're going to be, they're going to throw a big net, a big blanket over Central Florida and say, look, we're in an environment today, guys, where anywhere within this area, we can have some severe weather. All right, so get prepared for that. So the new special weather statement is massive. It goes until 6 o'clock. Again, some of the big areas, Orlando, Deltona, Sanford, Kissimmee, and Apopka, but it includes the southern sides of Osceola County. It includes, all the way up towards DeLand. It goes west towards Claremont and includes Winter Garden again. Winds of 50 miles an hour, half-inch size hail. I hope out of this we mainly just get half-inch size. Hopefully nothing worse than that. You can again see from our live cameras here that conditions are beginning to deteriorate across a lot of Central Florida in general. Let's go over to our Conway cam just to show you that one. Conditions also beginning to fall there. Sand Lake's a very interesting shot. You got a nice shelf cloud there, a nice lowering. Still some backlit blue sky, but obviously a pretty ominous sight moving through a lot of the I-4 corridor at the hour. And again, we have a camera 1 mile from the Disney property and the attractions. Live look outside to that. Again, gray sky. We haven't really seen the thunderstorm go right over this camera. You can kind of see that there is a definite darkening to the horizon on the left-hand side of your screen compared to what we have towards the right-hand side. And we can actually see the palm tree again in Winter Garden, but there's additional thunderstorms out west that are likely to come back right over this area. So again, strong and severe storms across a lot of our area, covering that for you guys here at CFLW. Once again, my friends, I welcome you to CFLW, Central Florida's live only weather channel. I'm only on where there's impactful weather across Central Florida, and boy, oh boy, we got one of them afternoon and early evenings. Tremendous amount of storms across our area at the hour. We'll reset things. We'll take a look at what we call kind of our default view here at CFLW, where we have nearly 3,000 lightning strikes. And again, these are impactful storms. We've had severe thunderstorm warnings. We've had widespread special weather statements. We've had hail up to dime size, maybe even a little bit higher from our Winter Garden camera, and reports of up to nickel-sized hail through portions of the western sides of Orange County. And now we just have storms that are out there, and they are quite numerous. Slow, erratic movement. Our hail core is trying to get over Sanford. This is not a good scenario for the Sanford area. Looks like this hail core is basically over Lake Monroe, but you notice that there's a lot of lightning near that higher reflectivity. This could be a significant potential for hail, potentially sliding over the north side of Sanford. Anyone who lives in this area, let us know in the comments section below. It does look like this little hail trail has been able to try and sneak back off towards the west more than anything. If I switch over to this product real quick, and we look at the hail and the hail tracks, so I actually can say, hey, look, show me the hail tracks over the last half hour, all right? So let's see what this is doing here. Let's do the last hour. So hail tracks, last hour, go. So there's a little bit, if anything, kind of a southwest development there. Again, here is the Winter Garden core, just slightly north and east. This is the storm that I was worried about south of Claremont. So that hail core is trying to move east towards 27. But you notice there is nothing that is very, I can't sit here and say every storm is going east. Look at my algorithm here. It picks up the hail and then is just trying to figure out exactly where it's trying to move. So even the radar understands the fact that this thing is basically stationary. So again, what you're looking at is a loop of the hail cores or the tracks over the last hour. That's all you're seeing from this product right now. What I want you to glean out of this is that we haven't had a lot of movement, but we've had certainly areas of likely hail. I mentioned the Osteen area, 415, certainly some hail here. And again, some hail potentially over the northern sides of Sanford, maybe just east of Deltona and south of Lake Helen. So obviously the hail potential is up today. So now again, they've wiped off the smaller special weather statements, and we've got this just huge puppy right now sitting over a lot of the I-4 corridor up until at least 6 o'clock, but it's not going to wind down at 6 o'clock. There's going to be additional stronger storms developing. If you live in Brevard County, thunderstorm here has wound down a little bit. That's good news. The East Coast sea breeze is marching inland, interacting with the West Coast sea breeze, interacting with old outflow boundaries, and thunderstorms right now are just going crazy. Lake Helen, Orange City, Lake Ashby, Deltona, again, northern sides of Sanford. Let's check the winds here. See if we've gotten anything from the airport. Nothing bad yet, 23, but there's going to be a heck of a lot more wind just about a mile north and west of the airport. Again, you see the flashing colors, the fuchsias and the neon blues? You don't want to be underneath that. That's likely a hail core there. Thunderstorms are strong. Eastern sides, Oviedo, UCF, Alafaya, Goldenrod, Baldwin Park, Azalea Park, back to downtown. Here's the hail core near the Edgewood area. Thunderstorms beginning to develop over MCO. You're likely going to have some, departure and arrival delays here. Just an overall airport weather warning. There's the thunderstorm developing over Lake Buena Vista at the hour. We still have the additional stronger storm over Hamlin, Winter Garden, Oakland, Ocoee, just north and west of Windermere towards the Gotha area. This is some really nasty storms developing over eastern Lake County, Claremont area, South Claremont. Get prepared for the opportunity for some hail here as well. Hopefully, again, dime size and lower, but that has had the history of producing some at least dime size hail south of Claremont. Nice little storm has developed over Astatula as well, just south and east of Howey in the Hills. Certainly the opportunity for some hail to develop there. Again, right now, my friends, if you're asking about which way are these storms moving, they're not moving very quickly at all. That's why the storms, from what we're seeing from the cameras, like the Winter Garden camera, really hasn't changed much. The winds are probably still over 30. The wind is still coming out of the north. A little bit better visibility, but luckily the hail has stopped here. But you can see just how everything is basically filling in. Eventually, everything should try and come back to the east, ultimately, as we get into the early evening hours, but it's going to take some time. This is going to be a doozy of an opportunity for some storms here as well. All right. We've got so much technology here at CFLW. I'm just going to let our cameras tell part of the story as I'm talking to you guys, talking about this disturbance. I'm going to get into the chat. So Sherry says, lightning in Conway made me jump off the couch. Very, very strong storms there. Oviedo lightning is quite bad. That's from Beach Girl for Real. Wingman doing okay so far in the eastern side of Orlando. Again, Deltona, very well represented. Thunder and lightning there in Deltona. Kyle, it's my pleasure to be here. Not expecting anything too bad in Lakeland initially, but down the road, could Lakeland get impacted by some of these storms? Yes. Oh, it's nasty for sure in the Winter Garden area. Said bad storm rolled through Palm Bay earlier. Lightning struck a straight over for me. You have to take this thunder seriously, guys. 100% thunder roars. You head indoors. Respect these storms. Don't be scared of them. I'll keep you updated with what's happening, but certainly respect the thunderstorms today. Prolific lightning producers, hail producers, gusty wind producers, and potentially some flooding producers as well. Quad box time. 4 of our cameras on the screen for you here. All of them showing unique situations, all of them showing very stormy skies. This is our southeast camera. Look there as we look south and east from Sand Lake. Nice little lowering. Not too concerned about tornadic activity, but again, these thunderstorms, these outflow boundaries collide. You can get some, broad spin and some SLCs, as I call them, some scary looking clouds. Conway cam showing you that thunderstorm just to the east of that. Winter Garden camera is still quite covered up at the hour as well. Again, not as prominent as what it has been. I'm not really looking forward to going outside later and seeing what the screen might look like here. I already had a little bit of damage with that. Live look outside to Lake Buena Vista. Again, the rain beginning to fall there, but at this point in time, you know, our camera in Lake Buena Vista has missed some of the worst activity, but I'm zoomed in pretty tight, relatively speaking, and we have over 1,400 lightning strikes in just a 15-minute time frame. The lightning is really prolific with these storms. Of course, you'll get all of your latest information scrolling at the bottom of your screen. We have a flood advisory in effect for Brevard County. We have a massive special weather statement. It covers several counties: Volusia, portions of Lake, Seminole, Orange, Osceola counties, goes until the top of the hour. And you can just really see how everything has filled in here very nicely, if you will, where that area of special weather statement is. Now, again, still the opportunity down the road that additional storms could develop even west. We've had a couple of isolated storms there. We've had a few storms develop in Lake County, even a couple in the southern sides of Hillsborough County. US 19 West, the actual coast, I don't know how much we're actually going to get out of that, okay? But again, you know, the opportunity for at least west of I-4 for a time before everything tries to march back off towards the east. And the lightning within some of this core activity is quite prolific as well. And you still see that lowering, that storm that's west of Winter Garden that's trying to move back towards the east. So we'll have to monitor the situation there. Tractions, not a great look at the hour here. Obviously, you got to watch out for some of the extremely prolific lightning, even if there's not significant rain out of that area. Okay. So again, I hope you guys are getting something out of all of our technology here, all of our live cameras. If you want to become a sponsor of the channel, scan that QR code. If nothing else, as always, guys, I do appreciate you hitting that like button and subscribing. I also do recommend having all notifications on. Again, this is a live-only channel. Central Florida's live-only weather channel. When there's impactful weather, I'm on covering it for you guys. It's nice to see you on this very stormy Wednesday, now into the late afternoon hours. Thunderstorms are quite massive right now through the heart of the Metro Orlando area, up towards Sanford and Deltona. Certainly the opportunity that these storms could be producing winds of 50, 60 miles an hour. We've had some nickel-sized hail. We've had that's, you know, teetering on damaging hail. We've had significant lightning and some flooding rains. Now, again, we're pushing through the drive home. We've had some significant heavy rain across I-4, 429, 408, 417, I-95 as well. If you drive those areas, please be very cautious. Hydroplaning is a big problem here. We can have ponding on roadways. We can have flooding in low-lying areas through a lot of this. If this kind of rain continues, it's not going to surprise me if we get additional flood advisories for the Metro Orlando area, because we're likely to see 3 and 4+ inches of rain out of this, partly because the storms that are beginning to arrive in the Orlando area are quite rowdy as well. Could be some hail over the Wedgefield area. If you live in Wedgefield, I know we do have some viewers from Wedgefield. My radar is picking up the opportunity that that core, which is going to try and move over Wedgefield, could have some inch-sized hail. Could see some hail over the Alafaya area right now. Alafaya up towards Dean Road. Southern sides of UCF. Could have a little bit of hail near the Union Park area too. Anywhere that you guys see these fuchsias and these blues, extremely high reflectivity, the opportunity, just like we saw in Winter Garden, for at least some pea and dime sized hail here. Look how this storm has just basically come right together, back down towards Belle Isle, MCO. And again, everyone here is under a special weather statement until at least 6 o'clock, but we'll extend that time frame as well. So that thunderstorm is building over Conway, and you can see that live right now. You can see that it's become a lot stormier over Lake Buena Vista. So Lake Buena Vista now, again, bad for the attractions, western sides of Orange County, so many areas getting hammered. Again, our cameras help to tell part of the story, but you guys help tell the rest of the story. So I appreciate you guys taking a second, jumping in the comments, letting me know what's happening in your area. If you have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments below as well. I'll do my best to try and answer those at times of very, a very impactful weather that's ongoing. I may not have a lot of time to answer those questions, but that's why we have moderators of the chat. You'll see those names in blue. If there's something that they think they can answer, maybe it's something that I've gone over and you just missed it, they will answer those questions for you guys. So please keep that chat going. Again, appreciate PebMets for the $10 super chat and helping to continue to help the channel. So as we would expect, MCO is on hold right now. Andrew, good to see you again from the UK. Hope you're doing well. J-Man says the lightning is terrible in the Bithlo-Chuliota areas. Appreciate that. By the way, could be some hail trying to get back to MCO. All right. Maybe some hail right along the beach line headed towards Cimarron, coming out of Pine Castle and Belle Isle. But there is the opportunity that the airport gets raked by a very, very significant part of that storm. Going to look at just the velocity real quick. So if we see the bright reds, guys, as are some significant winds here, 50, 60 mile an hour winds. There is a little bit of interaction right now with storms that have come from the west to east and storms that are east to west right over the MCO area. So always have to watch out for at least some broad rotation out of that. The cool thing is we have 2 to 3 cameras in that area to monitor that situation. So let me show you here what I'm talking about. If we look at the Sand Lake camera, you can see, do you guys see the turbulence in the low parts of those clouds, right? Last time I was on, some of you even said we had some mammatus, which is basically the half ping pong or cotton balls getting pulled down. The colder air is getting sucked down from the mid part of the thunderstorm to the base of the cloud structure, and that's why you get those cotton ball looking clouds at times of extremely severe weather. But there's just a lot of turbulence in the atmosphere when you have a sky that looks like that. Same situation with a gnarly shove cloud over Sand Lake. Again, these cameras are pretty close to MCO and other areas of the south side of Metro Orlando. And that's the thunderstorm coming through. So a lot of SLCs there, my friends. A lot of scary looking clouds at the hour. I'm going to go back over to this view. We have both Sand Lake cameras and still the Winter Garden camera. By the way, Winter Garden is not done. All right, and that is a hail core right here that's trying to slip very close to the airport. So the beach line, so all of the runways and Terminal C is way down here, relatively speaking. Everything's south of the beach line for MCO as far as the flight operations go. But again, whew, that's close. You guys see that white? You don't want to see the white, all right? That is now basically the highest reflectivity we can get. 40 mile an hour winds at the airport. If anyone lives in this area, let me know. Again, I'm picking up hopefully just half-inch size hail. That would be great. But that is a fairly impressive hail core. By the way, the beach line, not fun to be driving that at 5:30 and having some hail come through. Look at these storms, guys. I mean, I zoomed in very tightly in about 3 minutes, and when I zoom back out, look how everything is filled in. Massive storms right now. Okay, so Lee Vista is one of the areas. Thunder but no rain. Keep me updated in the Lee Vista area, please. Thank you. Conway checking in right now. A little bit of rain in the area, still fairly welcome, nothing strong. That's what we want to see. Unfortunately, a lot of areas are covered up a lot worse than that. But again, appreciate you tuning in there. Asher, let me know. Keep me updated in Conway. Linda also has some SOCs. Yes, ground stop for MCO right now. That's the last report. We check the flooding. Still only the one flood advisory so far. But again, if you guys are living in the Metro Orlando area right now, you're likely being impacted by some of this activity. So from our Winter Garden camera, we're looking at this coming back in. You can clearly see this coming back into Western Orange County. Extremely impressive, scary looking clouds there, Sand Lake area as well. And the lightning count, quite impressive. Even outside of some of the hail cores, all of this lightning here. Now I'm going to put this into motion for you guys because I want you guys to understand the situation, right? We've had the East Coast sea breeze march in, initiate some of the activity, which initially built west. West Coast sea breeze is more dominant today, is going to push everything, in the mid-level winds as well are still mainly out of the west to east. So it's going to eventually carry these storms back east. But can you see the sea breeze coming in? This is still what's producing the erratic motion to these storms, where at least in the initial phases as they develop, they're just not moving much. Eventually, they will pull back off towards the east. But generally what they're doing right now is just absolutely filling in this special weather statement here. Again, farther west, still an opportunity for a few storms, but much more isolated in nature. Some gorgeous shots from our cameras right now, guys. Look at that little shelf cloud lowering there in Sand Lake. Again, I don't see any rotation. But you want to talk about just a turbulent part of this massive complex of thunderstorms. We're seeing that now. It's pouring at Lake Buena Vista. Hopefully every one of the attractions is back inside, safe and sound. And here it comes. Look at that storm in Winter Garden. My house is about to get hammered one more time. Hopefully no hail. Let's get the thoughts and prayers out for that. But that's a good thunderstorm there. Again, what's really cool about this shot is you can see the actual width, the extent of the storm. If you look to the right, to the north, you see a little bit of backlit. You look back to the south, to the left, you see a little bit of backlit, and then everything is just going to kind of grow, and that backlight goes away as that thunderstorm moves right into that camera. This is southwest from Sand Lake. So again, we have two cameras in Sand Lake, one looking south and east. We call that the Epic Cam because Epic Universe is right behind that stand of trees. This is looking south and west. Again, just a very turbulent sky at this point in time as well. Our Conway Cam is just more gray than anything. Not a lot of wind there yet, but we've had some storm activity move through. But for the most part, look, there's going to be some areas within all this activity that don't get hit very hard. But that's going to be few and far between when you're talking about as widespread as these stronger storms are across Central Florida at the hour. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're getting anything out of this, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me and subscribing. There's, again, just one kind of view of the Winter Garden camera. I'll keep an eye on that. I don't want to keep it full screen for very long, but just another great shot from our camera network here across the area. And then we can 6-box this as well. Whatever we need to do for you guys, we'll get you covered here on the channel with our live cameras. All of our technology, again, hopefully, again, you guys are enjoying this presentation. If you do so, I do appreciate the like. Thank you to our members as well. Memberships are available if you'd like to join the Storm Squad, as we call ourselves. You do get access to exclusive badges and emojis during these live streams, but also access to exclusive member short videos in between these live streams. From time to time, I'll produce some member-only content, letting our members know when we might see some prolific storms like this for today. By the way, if you happen to live south, there is a severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect for our area down towards Lake Placid. We do have some viewers who tune in from the Lake Placid area. So you do have a severe thunderstorm warning there. You can just simply follow the sea breeze and the initiation all the way up into Metro Orlando, northern sides of Lake County, northwest sides of Volusia County. Most of the activity, coastal Volusia, Flagler, has worked its way back offshore. Additional thunderstorms right now have developed in interior locations, might try and make a run back through St. Johns County. But again, right now, anywhere that you guys see these purples and blues are likely some hail cores. We might see from this Winter Garden camera that, again, here's 50, 91 is a turnpike. It does look like the worst part of that storm might move north of our Winter Garden camera, thank goodness. Feel sorry for anyone who might be involved in this, but again, you live in the Montverde area, 91, Turnpike, watch out for that. Mineola included as well. This could just continue to skirt the south sides of Lake Apopka towards Oakland and the Plant Street area of Winter Garden. Then you've got this core, which is firing up now from the Celebration area towards Lake Buena Vista. So there is the opportunity right now, guys, that we could actually have a hail core kind of right over Disney and the attractions. You see that? Let me get you some of the street names here. So this is the Osceola Parkway. Popped on just a second ago. Well, there's Studio Drive. It lets you know that you're in the attractions there with Studio Drive. Victory Way, if you guys know that. And then there's Buena Vista right here. And by the way, this is moving up to Buena Vista Drive. This hail core right here out of Osceola Parkway moving up to Buena Vista. So there's World Center, so 535, 536, World Center Drive. If you guys know this area of the attractions, right? And you can see some of that from our Sand Lake cameras as well. It's one reason why we like to make sure we have the attractions covered. Now this person's making a choice by heading out, but you can just see what is there. Now this camera is a little bit north and west of this activity right now. Just a little bit north and west. As a matter of fact, I have a map here to show you guys. So if I go here, our camera is a little bit north of World Drive. So be monitoring that. Then we have our two Sand Lake cameras. So we're likely to see from our southwest Sand Lake camera and our Lake Buena Vista camera this storm coming in. And then there's our Winter Garden camera here that got hit earlier. And then there's our Conway camera. 4 of our cameras here on CFLW to monitor the situation. But just to show you that the core of that hail core is likely just south of the camera that we have. So we'll see if that camera gets close. I do believe it'll likely move a little bit east of there, but that's the situation at this point in time. And if we need to, could always jump on and actually go basically picture in picture. If we had a tornado situation or a really gnarly storm, we can bring up the camera and the radar system at the same time. Okay, so back at it right now. Over 2,700 lightning strikes. Let's see here. Let me get our, oh, I know what I did. I'm still on our map view. Now they'll go away. And by the way, isn't that cool as well? You can zoom them in, zoom them out, bring them up. Love it. All right. If you guys are just tuning in, I appreciate that. 5:38. We have a massive special weather statement for basically all of the central Florida area. That includes what you would consider Metro Orlando, but as far south as southern Osceola County, as far north as portions of Volusia County, as far west as the central sides of Lake County, and it gets just barely into Brevard County. So you'll see on the special weather statement down below, it actually does include portions of Brevard County, but it is west of 95 at this point in time. So let me clear these roads, zoom back in. So hopefully, again, we had no more than half-inch size hail here. That's what the special weather statement is for. And as it came up towards Buena Vista here, we have a little bit in the weakening of that, but extremely dark cloud coverage right now from our Sand Lake cameras. Storm is right over MCO. Let's check the winds. We had a 40 there. We still had a 40. It does look like that hail core maybe moved just to the north as it crossed over Cimarron, potentially avoiding the actual airport as it's moving north and east and getting back to the 417 just to the north of the beach line. Additional heavy rain and storms have now spread over Avalon Park and Alafaya and UCF. Extremely solid storm over Winter Park and Goldenrod right there on Aloma. 436, you can see the heavy rain and storms there. Following it back down towards Azalea Park. Downtown Orlando with some pretty rowdy storms here. This activity is still quite active on the western sides of Orange County. Tremendous amount of lightning right now, Claremont, Mineola on over towards Montverde. You can see from the Winter Garden camera that the worst part of that cell has moved just north of the camera, but still impacted right now with some solid thunderstorm activity. And again, all of this area under a special weather statement for the next 20 minutes. We've got to take a look at these cameras here that we got. Again, we call this camera our Epic Cam because right behind that stand of trees is the new Universal theme park, Epic Universe. Maybe you've been there. I went there with the family last year. We can actually see the fireworks display right behind those trees at the correct time of day, right? But obviously you can just see the turbulence in the sky, the dark gray, and just all of that almost sheeting of the clouds there. It's just really an amazing sky at this point in time from there. And that's again looking south into the east. Then we take our cam and look south and west, and you can see that storm again beginning to move through that area. And then the thunderstorm has come through portions of our camera at Lake Buena Vista. Hopefully it misses this camera just off towards the east a little bit, just a bit, but again likely to get a little bit worse from this camera as we go over the next 15 to 20 minutes. And again, from our Winter Garden camera, which by the way, if you didn't tune in earlier, there was some dime-sized hail on that screen. We had a storm that developed right over this camera in the Winter Garden area, the western side of Orange County. It produced some 50 and probably even 60-mile-an-hour winds, likely some damaging winds. We have a report from a retired National Weather Service employee just about a mile west of this camera of nickel-sized hail. I don't think we got nickel-sized hail here at this camera, or if we did, it was mainly embedded in pea and dime-sized hail. Maybe even a few pennies out there too. All right, so that's the current situation right now. Let me get back over to the chat. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Do have to watch out for the flooding too. Again, flood advisory continues for Brevard County until 6 o'clock. Speaking of the rain, Mike says 1 inch in Claremont near Lake Minnehaha. Appreciate that. So far, so good there in Tavares. We've got some good rain in Mineola. Again, appreciate all the comments. Appreciate you guys keeping the chat very active. First of all, it helps out everyone who's tuning in, right? Everyone's tuning in saying, okay, what's happening? What's Rusty talking about? You know, where's the next bad weather or what's happening in my area? Maybe I'm still at work for some reason and I want to check in with what's happening at home. Maybe I work in Orlando, but I live in Sanford, or I live in Deltona, and you guys can get some of that information. So I appreciate everyone keeping us up to date in the chat. Angel says, just beginning to rain in South Titusville by the Executive Airport. Bruce Herder says, Claremont getting dumped on currently. A lot of that going on tonight. We have a pitch black alert, if you will, with some severe lightning in Oviedo. So worst hail, strongest winds, west, most prolific lightning by a long shot east. Tremendous amount of lightning in this pretty darn tight view. Guys, we've had 600 lightning strikes in just the past 15 minutes. So the Oviedo area, Chuliota, UCF, Goldenrod, Union Park, Alafaya, absolutely getting hammered right now. I zoom out just a little bit, and we're basically up to 800 lightning strikes. Again, still the opportunity, maybe down towards Lee Vista Boulevard. We'll love our friend who was in there from the Lee Vista area earlier. Let us know what's happening. You see a little bit of lightning on the Winter Garden camera too. Got to respect these storms today, guys. So This will go until 6 o'clock. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do. They're likely just going to make another very large special weather statement. Again, movement right now is slow and erratic. We've seen a couple of cells been able to eke their way east, back over coastal areas of southern Volusia County, northern sides of Brevard County. Additional thunderstorms have basically propagated north and west up 1792, DeLand, DeLeon Springs, Astor, and the Pearson area. A couple of scattered thunderstorms over Umatilla and Eustis. Not a ton south and west, but a little bit more trying to fire up through portions of Polk County, still east of Lakeland, but Polk City area. Again, if you look from Polk City north and east, you're going to see some dark skies. Down 27 towards Lake Wales and the frost-proof area, a string of storms here right along our sea breeze, which again blows back up over the Lake Placid area where we did have some severe thunderstorm warnings there. Let's go back over to our local storm reports. A couple things I want to do real quick. First thing is just to make sure that they haven't put us under a more than general risk of severe storms. Can you believe that? But sometimes it happens. All of Central Florida is under a risk for excessive rain, right? That's what this map is showing you guys. The entire state under a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. By the way, you can go ahead and just stamp that right on through Saturday, all right? We have excessive rainfall potential each and every day, at least through the early part of the weekend, if not even beyond. We've snapped our fingers. We're back into an extremely active pattern for us here. We do have our local storm reports to check in with. Again, this report is just basically 1 mile west of the Winter Garden camera, where a retired National Weather Service employee reported nickel-sized hail 3 miles south and west of downtown. So again, the camera, the report south of Colonial, which is 50. Downtown Winter Garden is north as you get closer to Lake Apopka. That is near the Stony Brook West area, if you guys know that. That would be on the west side of Black Lake. We also have 3 different wind reports here. I believe the most significant one is going to be the Melbourne Airport at 4:13. They had a 61-mile-an-hour wind. So if you do live around the Melbourne area, you were likely impacted by some storms. We have the Patrick Space Force Base reporting winds of 41 miles an hour there. And then we have Merritt Island reporting 40 at the airport. So we had 60s. And then as that storm moved up to the north, it lost a touch of its punch, but was still producing 40-mile-an-hour winds. Last reports that we've had here, 40-mile-an-hour winds at the Orlando MCO airport. Nothing in downtown right now. 31 over at the Sanford Orlando airport. So appreciate Jackie said just starting to rain there in Lee Vista. Kevin asked which storms these are moving. Look, right now they're not moving hardly anywhere. They are slow, erratic movers, but eventually they're going to push back off towards the east. We'll see how long it takes for them to start that eastern propagation. It's coming up on 6 o'clock. These storms should lose most of their punch after sunset, but that's still more than 2 hours away, and likely through the 8 o'clock hour, we're still going to see these storms on the route of your side. So again, you saw from the Winter Garden camera, another storm has just rolled right back over. So had a really healthy storm earlier. Now additional storms out of eastern Lake County are coming back in. But just look how it's completely covered up the Metro Orlando area. I-4 back over to 408, 417. Conway cam might be getting some very, very interesting clouds on our Sand Lake cameras. Yeah, Conway is a little bit different story now in Conway, right? We were talking about this camera was a little bit more benign than anything, but now you can just see again, basically just shrouded up. As the camera kind of comes in and out, you'll see a little bit of that wind blowing there in the palm trees. But a good part of that thunderstorm is right over the Conway area. Here's a Winter Garden cam. Again, it's a little bit hard to see the actual wind. You can see that palm tree down below. I'd put winds right now at around 20 to 25. The worst part of that cell is moving up to the north, but it's just additional heavier rain here. Already been so prolific rain. We start to run into an opportunity as these storms sit longer and longer over the Orlando area for them to issue some flood advisories, right? Again, flash flood warnings, those are the worst. You don't want to see those. Flood advisories are possible, and they have issued a new one. You guys probably saw that scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You guys probably saw that, but there is a new flood advisory kind of from the Deltona area south to the eastern sides of Orange County. I'm going to give you the details on that right now. So let's go back over to this project. Again, this is going to show you kind of a county by county look, and then I can get you the details. So you notice that we now have a flood advisory in effect here. So let me pop that on. It's going to go until 7:30. It includes central Orange County, eastern Seminole, south central Volusia, right? So again, kind of from the Deltona area south, all right? Minor flooding, low-lying areas, poor drainage areas. We've already had 2 to 2.5 inches of rain with an additional 1 to 2. And I would favor the higher end of this for 3 to 4 plus inches of rain. Some of these areas include Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Winter Springs, Orange City, Lake Helen, Geneva, Lake Jessup, Chuliota, UCF, Bithlo, Osteen, Union Park, Mullet Lake Park, Sanford Airport, Lake Harney, Farmton, Enterprise, and Casadega. You live in these areas, you are now under a flood advisory until 7:30. Some, not all, could see 3, 4, maybe even 5 inches of rain. I talked about the thunderstorms west of St. Augustine. They have now fired up special weather statements for those storms as well. And again, this is an area where all of this lightning that's being produced right now, and these storms are just not moving very quickly right now. So we're going to get another special weather statement coming up for at least part of this. They may notch off some of Osceola County. Thunderstorms have really yet to develop there, but the problem is the storms that are developing along 27 might eventually try and march back off towards the east. Let's get some of your cameras back up. I don't want to rob you guys of what these cameras look like. By the way, Winter Garden is getting hammered again. If you just look at the raindrops kind of at the foreground and then the wind in the background. Good solid thunderstorm, more lightning coming in. Now more low-lying areas will flood. And that's the problem, right? More areas of flood are potential out of this. Again, appreciate all the chat. Keep it coming. Hi, Marilyn. Good to see you. Says about 5 miles west of Conway. It just got really, really dark outside. Yeah, absolutely, right? Through the heart of Metro Orlando. Delaney Park, Holden Heights, Conway area, back down towards Millennia. You know, again, really solid thunderstorm, big complex that will basically just be evolving and moving through. Again, slight movement east. You know, we've seen a little bit of this east, but not much. Tiny says absolutely pouring here in Bithlo, Wedgefield. Braxton also from the Wedgefield area says storm passed here in Wedgefield. Absolutely. Kevin, I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. My homie, keep me updated. Getting dark and loud, but no rain in Altamont as of yet. We appreciate Nightbot with the shout out. Welcome to Central Florida's live only weather channel, live and interactive with you guys. Appreciate you guys again jumping into the chat. Appreciate all the moderators. You got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer it here. Of course, at times of active weather, it can be a little bit harder for me to do so, but we have our moderators to help things out. Thank you to all the members as well. You will see their names in green. They also will have badges next to their name. Maybe you see a new sticker. It means they are a new member of the channel. If you see a 1 month plus sticker, they've been a member for over a month, and then 2+ months, and so on and so forth. So again, appreciate all the support from our members. We call ourselves the Storm Squad. If you want some member only content in between these live streams, you can become a member as well. Sand Lake cameras, again, showing you dark skies there. Conway beginning to get hammered a little bit more. Again, that camera's freezing a bit from time to time, but when it pops back on, if you look at both of the larger palm trees on either side of your screen, you'll see that they're quite windy when it actually comes through. Again, you know, From time to time, we'll have a little bit of freezing of these cameras, but you'll see them pick up. There you go. So I reset it. You can see it. It's a good storm over Conway. I mean, easily 30-mile-an-hour winds there, probably up to 40. We'll stick on that camera for a second. I will have an update when I come back with the new special weather statement. And it's about what we talked about. You guys see that NWS update? You guys probably heard it. That's going to be for the new special weather statement, which now extends towards the East Coast. But we'll keep an eye on this Conway cam for a second as well. Again, great shot there out of Conway. Anyone who lives in the Conway area, verify what we're seeing. Let us know. And again, still cats and dogs in Winter Garden as well. I would say that the winds are back up to nearly 40 miles an hour in Winter Garden. This is just a huge swath of absolutely significant storms across a lot of the heart of Metro Orlando at this point in time. Okay, as I mentioned, we're going to give you guys new information on the brand new special weather statement. It encompasses exactly, again, what you would think. The Weather Service looked at where the worst storms are, which is kind of the heart of the larger special weather statement that was in effect and will expire at 6. And they put a new one on, but they're beginning to take into the account the slow movement east of some of this activity, right? So the new special weather statement is in effect. Let me give you the details on that. Of course, all that information is down below as well. Goes until 6:45. Beginning to see a little bit of east movement at 6, winds of 50. This includes places like Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford, Titusville, and Apopka. But you guys know it includes a lot more areas than that. Those are just some of the bigger cities. And again, it does now get to the coastline. It does include far, far northern Brevard, but basically the southern sides of Volusia County as well. Anything so far south and west has behaved. But again, if you're living in Orlando right now, you are likely in the throes of what is some significant activity. Flood advisors are in effect. What I don't want to see here is a green polygon pop up, because on my system, the only flood advisories, if you will, that pop up live are flash flood warnings. That means flooding is imminent or is ongoing and is significant. We don't want to see those. Flood advisories are we're expecting or we're having minor flooding, but the additional rain we could see in the next few hours could still equate to flooding in this area. But flash flood warnings mean flooding is occurring as we speak. Again, still picking up some hail cores here from time to time. Hopefully it's in the, dime size variety. We don't want to get up to nickels. Pennies aren't even really fantastic either, but let's stay on the lower edge of our coin-sized hail. Back out to Conway again, just watching that thunderstorm pushing through. Report of some street flooding there near the Lee Vista area. Good to see you, XRP Plumbing. Hope you're well. We have a lot of dumping going on in Winter Park. Banana Island and the Merritt Island area with a lot of thick cloud coverage. These storms are just beginning to push off to the east, just slowly, right now. So if you live east of that line, there's an opportunity to get hit one more time if you've already gotten nailed once. As these storms try and move back off towards the east, they could get hit again. Absolutely. Hi, Donna. It's coming down there in East Orlando. Again, appreciate all the reports. Thanks to all my friends in the chat who take a second. Let us know what's happening in your area. Yeah, again, so look where you are, right? It's not a great scenario for the eastern sides of Orange County because you're getting hit hard right now. And look at all of this that still has to work its way through. I doubt it's going to lose a lot of its intensity between now and 7 o'clock as it does so. Maybe it shrinks a little bit, but we're still going to have some winds of over 50 miles an hour and some hail and tremendous amounts of lightning and heavy rainfall punch its way through the I-4 areas east of Orange, Seminole counties, northern sides of Osceola County, and into Volusia County as well. Not really worried about tornadoes. Again, you know, if there was going to be some tornadic activity, one of two scenarios plays out. The first is that as the sea breezes collide, you do get a little bit of inherent rotation as these storms kind of smash against each other, right? They're not going in one direction any longer. We've already had that occur. The second would be as these storms begin to push back offshore, the friction difference between land and water can produce some rotation, but the atmosphere is not very primed for a lot of juice as far as that goes for today. It's more about what you see on my headline here. If there was a elevated tornado threat relative to what we see in Central Florida, and we understand our tornado threat is not nearly what they see in other parts of the country. However, what we can get is some spin up quick funnel clouds. We can get some water spouts and things like that. Those are always hard to forecast, but even that scenario today looks to be low, but not zero. Still a tremendous amount of lightning here, friends, within this storm cluster, right? At 6 o'clock, new special weather statement till 6:45, nearly 1,000 lightning strikes in this view. Trying to break apart in the western sides of Orange County a bit. Here you can see just a little bit of lighter sky on the horizon from our winter garden camera. You can still see it's very rowdy over the Sand Lake cameras, and just some exceptional rain and storms moving across this region. I'll put this in motion, just so you guys who are just tuning in will understand the scenario where we've had basically no movement of the storms until the last 15 minutes. And ultimately, they are going to try and sneak back to the east. So the East Coast sea breeze marched inland, storms developed along that and actually built back west. There's actually a little bit of that sea breeze you can see right now. But the West Coast sea breeze and the mid-level winds are more dominant from west to east. So as these storms get higher in the atmosphere, as they build up, as the initial collision of the boundaries and the sea breezes have gone away, ultimately our winds from west to east will take over and drive these storms back towards the East Coast. Now, they'll likely be most prominent in interior locations and some of the coastline. It might lose a little bit of their punch as they push back off towards the east, but it's going to take some time, more than 2 hours until sunset here. Again, not completely dry west, not completely dry, but everything so far has still been east of 75. If you live along the immediate West Coast and you're tuning in, first of all, thank you for doing so. Appreciate you tuning in. We do have friends of the channel who, regardless of whether they're getting impacted by storms, they're just a big part of our community. They come into the chat, they join in, you know, maybe it's a nice sunny day there, but they just want to see what's happening across Central Florida. I do appreciate all of our friends who stick around from the very beginning to the very end. But I will say our West Coast does look to be quieter. However, if you live along our East Coast, especially this northern half of Brevard County, back into Volusia, maybe Flagler County, but we'll see if these storms want to move due east or they want to get back. I don't think Palm Coast would see these storms, but potentially up here, this storm out of St. John's could try and sneak back down to Palm Coast, but it's a marginal potential there. And again, if you've noticed that this is an environment today, I haven't storm tracked one thing. Forget even trying to put a storm track on this stuff. I mean, again, you can still see some cells are moving east while others are moving west. Let's just say there's a lot of impacts, and it's almost everyone in this area. Thank you, deleted account. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you're brand new to the channel, welcome. Central Florida's live-only weather channel. I'm only on when there's impactful storms. Thanks for being a part of a great community. Again, tracking storms right now, which have the history of producing winds of over 60 miles an hour, some nickel-sized hail, flooding rains, a tremendous amount of lightning. We have our live cameras here at CFLW as well. And I would be very remiss to not, again, mention our sponsor, the Lien Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Look, you get into an insurance claim process, and maybe, unfortunately, some of you might. I hope that the hail wasn't significant enough or the winds didn't cause a lot of screen damage. But if it did, Bobby Lean and the team there at Lien Law will walk you through that insurance claim process with free consultation and policy reviews. You scan the QR code on your screen, it will get you to their website. You can also reach out to them at 407-502-0053. If you own a Central Florida business and you're interested in sponsoring the channel as well and being a part of what is a very economical way to get a lot of eyes in Central Florida. Scan the QR code now, and it will take you to our email with the sponsorship already filled into the subject line. Send me that email. Happy to respond to you guys and discuss sponsorships for the channel in general. The radar system and each of our individual cameras are available. So if you'd like to become a sponsor, like the Lean Law Firm, again, a very economical way to get a lot of eyes on your business, go ahead and contact us. Yeah, things are pretty angry there. There's no doubt about it. So Asher here, he's in the Conway area. And let me bring up Conway Cam as we look at what he is saying. He said, heavy rain and wind just hit us. Close strike hit a tree in the neighborhood. We'll check for damage after lightning drops off. Do not go outside anytime soon. Be smart about it. It's okay, right? You can let us know next time if the lightning doesn't go away. Look, thunder roars, you head indoors, guys. We respect these storms. We're not scared of them, right? We're knowledgeable about them, but obviously respect them. There's a reason why, you know, schools have 30-30 rules, right? Where you don't go back outside until 30 minutes after the last clap of thunder. It's a great thing. You know, if you can give yourself that kind of window, you're likely going to be just fine. But even when we are left over with overcast conditions and lighter rain, there can still be a tremendous amount of lightning, or at least enough to be issues. It's still storming over the southwest side of Orange County. It is still certainly not all clear for the attractions area, including Lake Buena Vista and I Drive. Again, if you do live in this area, you know what I'm talking about. It's not the worst of rain and the worst of wind, but there is still a heavy lightning count over the Lake Buena Vista area. And again, from this camera, we are just 1 mile from the Disney property. Basically behind that stand of trees is the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and Disney Springs, places like that. Really cool shot from south and east from our Sand Lake camera as well. Again, this showing you the thunderstorms that have already kind of pushed through that area, but behind it still a lot of gray sky. Nice to see a little bit of clearing there on the horizon for Winter Garden. Okay, let's get back into it as far as tracking these storms for you guys live. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Nice line of storms here all the way down. So we're going to get a new advisory coming in. This is going to be a new one, new flood advisory, because this is for now Lake Orange, Osceola, and Seminole until 8 o'clock. Again, luckily not a flash flood warning, but it is a flood advisory. My system is so good, it hasn't even popped up on the Weather Service website yet. I do hate this tablet though. Every time I want to punch something, like the news comes up. I don't want to see more. I want you to go away. I mean, it's user error. I admit that, but still. So Southwest Orange, Northwest Osceola. So this area in here, it's what has been getting hammered by that significant storm. By the way, the airport, Executive Airport downtown Orlando, has now had a 37-mile-an-hour wind gust, 35 at MCO. Still, when you see these fuchsias and these neon blues and they're flashing, that is the highest reflectivity that we have, guys, where we could see a little bit of hail still embedded within this. Let's check the rainfall rates coming out of these storms. Give us a good indication of how much rain could be falling. Plus, we'll take a look at the estimated rainfall totals as well. So when we look at this product, this is how much rain is falling in a per hour basis. Okay. Now, typically these storms have some movement. So we're not going to get the full 5.5 inches of rain in an hour over Windermere and Metro West. But guess what? These storms haven't moved very much. So is there the opportunity that we get close to these numbers in portions of Metro Orlando? Yes. But if you're saying, Rusty, I can't see outside in these areas, this is the reason why. The rain right now is falling at 5.5 inches per hour over Metro West, Lake Butler, Windermere, Dr. Phillips, Oak Ridge, Pine Castle, Edgewood, back down towards Hunters Creek. There's another 4-inch bullseye near Celebration. 4.5 inches here, just north of Four Corners and just east of 27. Additional heavier rain, again, more lightning here, but additional heavier rain up to 417. Goldenrod over 3 inches per hour. Look at the storms on the east side of this, guys. If you live in the northern sides of Brevard, and I'm getting some new data in, which is why it's piling up, maybe towards Oak Hill, you have got significant wet sponge kind of rain of an atmosphere. Basically, you're squeezing out like a wet sponge. And still even up here in Lake County, you know, there are pockets of pretty significant rain. So again, this is the amount of rain in an hour's time frame occurring right now. Typically, storms move, so I can't sit here and say, okay, it's 5 inches of rain in the last hour in Metro West, because the storms have moved. But the slow, erratic movement of these storms, we could probably say about 75%. So when we look at this flood advisory, we're likely to see where they're going to be talking about at least 4, if not 5+ inches of rain that are going to be falling in this area. So that's why we have the flood advisory. So let's wipe off this data real quick. Let's bring on the flood advisory. Let's take a look at that. Okay. So again, the new flood advisory is for Southeast Lake, Southwest Orange, Northwest Osceola, South Central Seminole until 8 o'clock. You have 1.5 to 2.5 with 1 to 2 more. So 2.5 to 4.5 inches of rain, still favoring, in my opinion, some of the higher numbers or the higher, end of that band for some of the areas that I've already mentioned. In this flood advisory is included Orlando, Kissimmee, Winter Park, Castleberry, Maitland, Wedgefield, Windermere, Bay Lake, Oak Ridge, Conway, OIA, Bonaventura Lakes, College Park, Azalea Park, Celebration, Goldenrod, Intercession City, and Avalon Park. That's a big flood advisory. And it goes again all the way until 8 o'clock. An additional flood advisory along and east of I-4 from Deltona back down to UCF is in effect until 7:30. Look at that Sand Lake camera, by the way. Look at that ominous sky. Don't want to see too much aqua. You get into an aqua sky, and you're looking at maybe some hail there. New special weather statement down south, too. So Jimmy on the northern sides of Brevard County says it's hammer time. Probably not a good time for golf. Sometimes I'll catch, obviously, these discussions you guys are having amongst yourselves mid-conversation, but that is sound advice. Probably not a great time for golf. Good to see Wekiwa Springs in the house. Jody, good evening to you. Says, good evening, Rusty. We are getting poured on right here in the Davenport area. Good to see you tonight. I am in indeed. Again, just following 27 back down. Nice line of storms here. They have issued a special weather statement. It actually does include the very far southern areas of Polk County. You can clearly see the sea breeze line. We'll see if can it get far enough west towards Lakeland to produce some storms more into the central sides of Polk County. Now again, this activity is trying to push east. So I can give you a couple of tracks. Lake Nona right now, and back to Buenaventura Lake south and east at 6:30. That's just kind of a radar estimate. You can see this court. By the way, I mentioned the Oak Hill area, right? This is that 5+ inch per hour rainfall rates coming east towards Oak Hill. So if you do live in the Oak Hill area of southern Volusia County, that's going to be a rowdy storm coming your way. Special weather statement continues until 6:45 here, guys. Trying to improve a bit in the northern and western sides of Orange County. You can see things have gotten better from our winter garden camera, right? A little bit lighter sky overall. Storms aren't as prolific. Look at this, just absolutely gray sky over Sand Lake, though. Whew. Not fun. Wouldn't want to be under that sky right now. If you guys are, let us know what you're seeing. Just behind the scenes here real quick, I'm going to switch that winter garden camera. Let's go to Conway. So if you guys don't know, like live on the fly here, I can make switches to our cameras, whatever we need to do. For some reason that didn't do it though. Give me 1 second here. If I ask very kindly, will you do it? Here we go. I guess you just had to ask nice. So again, we have all different kinds of cameras for you guys. You got to get a new update on the special weather statement. You'll get the tone. You'll see all the information scrolling at the bottom of your screen. It's one of the new features of the channel. You still will get all of that data right here, right? You will still get what it is, how long it goes for, and the hazards. But now even more details are going to be scrolling at our ticker down below. What they've done is they've just started to fill in the line of the sea breeze south. So now you do have more of Polk County under this special weather statement, and it makes sense because that storm is getting stronger between Polk City and the Davenport, Haines City area. That one is going to go also until 6:45. So let's break that one down. Again, slow movement east. As they begin to develop, there's very erratic movement. Ultimately, these puppies are going to want to try and go to the east. 50-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-inch size hail. Thankfully, not quarter size, but quarter-inch, basically pea size. Winter Haven, Haines City, Auburndale, Lake Alfred, Dundee, Davenport, Polk City, Lake Hamilton, Loughman, the Winter Haven Airport, and Inwood. This is east of Lakeland. Because it's moving east, we're likely to not see this get to downtown Lakeland. So good news if you live in Lakeland. Could still see a few storms march or develop west, but this particular cell trying to move back off towards the east right now, as is kind of everything at the hour. Going to bring back on the wind gusts again. We'll check our local storm reports coming up. Hey, Jared, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Drizzling in Port St. John, South Titusville, 3/4 of an inch yesterday. Some good storms, past couple of days in a very isolated fashion, but some areas did get some good, healthy downpours and storms the last couple of afternoons. Hiker Mom says Wekiva area is getting hammered with rain and strong winds. Appreciate that. You get up here to the Wekiva area, and certainly Apopka, Lockhart, Altamont Springs, Mount Plymouth. Solid thunderstorm here, guys. Just, not the worst part, but let it pass you by. You don't want to be outdoors. Hopefully not enough rain to produce areas of flooding, but flooding of low-lying areas is not out of the question with that. And again, this has just been a monster sea breeze interaction for today. I can show you guys, if you're just tuning in, or maybe we haven't really looked at this fully yet, how did this evolve over the last couple of hours? This is always an interesting thing to do when you've had a system like this. Let me go full screen so you guys can see the time as well. All right, so that's our current time. It should be at least a few-hour loop that comes up here for you. All right, so again, this is the evolution of the storms since 2 o'clock. They developed in our area on the southern coastline and then watched the sea breeze just slowly march inland. All the numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. By the way, the Melbourne airport did have a 61-mile-an-hour wind. You might not be able to see it because it's so covered up, but this has been the scenario where we had some healthy thunderstorms, Indian River County, southern Brevard, up to central Brevard, moving inland, and as they did so, and again, if you were right at the beginning, we had that storm over the Winter Garden camera with at least dime-sized hail and some 60-mile-an-hour winds. And they didn't even have a special weather statement on it to begin with. But now the radar has really filled in across I-4. Now that these storms are more mature, now that we're done with the sea breeze interaction, we're likely to see these storms begin to move back off towards the east. And over the past few frames, you can see that beginning to transpire, right? But just a very healthy sea breeze for today, and temperatures that are, again, we're in the mid-90s. So fuel to the fire. Storms not arriving till later in the day obviously help these storms get going. This storm is so bad right now in Lake County where they just issued a severe thunderstorm warning. So we should have a severe thunderstorm warning should pop up very quickly here on my system. Let me give the details on that. Till 6:45. Oops, that's the special weather statement. Where are you here? There we go. Severe thunderstorm warning also till 6:45. Wow, they are moving this west. Remember I told you some of this stuff still might try and propagate west. So this is a big one, okay? Inch-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds, Winter Haven, Haines City, Auburndale, Lake Alfred, Davenport, Polk City, Winter Haven Airport, Inwood, Fussell's Corner. Again, areas that I've already mentioned through the special weather statement, but now they're trying to move this slightly off towards the west. So there is a severe thunderstorm warning in Polk County. To do something here real quick, guys. Give me just 1 second here. Well, I'm going to wait and see if my system picks it up. It should. It cycles in about every minute or two. So I think this is probably it here. Okay. Yeah, okay, it just popped up. Just wanted to make sure I didn't have to do anything else. Perfect. Working as it should. We always like that. So again, more details with the severe thunderstorm warning down below, but we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for the northeast sides of Polk County. Again, Lakeland not included. While they say west at 7, that polygon isn't much further west than where the actual storm is right now. I doubt, my opinion would be, I doubt that this storm makes it to Lakeland. However, right around, I mean, look at that hail core. Ooh, okay, do you guys see how this triangle, again, I know my shapes, is a 2? That means a more significant hail core. I really hope that we do not have 2-inch size hail coming down from this storm. But there is absolutely a reason the Weather Service went from a special weather statement to a severe thunderstorm warning. And even if this is inch-sized hail, that's quarter-sized hail, that is damage. That is damage in this area, hopefully in a pretty rural spot. If you guys know this area, 17 north and west of Haines City. And that hail core, by the way, could be paralleling or marching up I-4. Now, down the road, maybe Davenport, maybe the 27 interchange. Got to watch out. But again, a massive hail core here. Here's something else that shows you the situation. I've got one radar algorithm pushing this storm west. I've got one that's trying to push it east. This storm is just going up as we speak. But it is all about the hail size here. Now they have 60s in an inch. I hope it's not more than an inch. We've got Judge Road and Conway. The rain has been nonstop. Florida Shark also reiterating what's happening in Conway. Anyone live in this area of Polk County, let me know. Sky is so dark over Universal, it looks like it's evening right now. Yep, I would imagine so. So I went full screen here to check things out. Let's get back to our cameras. Again, you can see the lightning flashing in Conway as that thunderstorm with the special weather statement pushes by. You can see our Sand Lake cameras, same situation, very dark, ominous sky here. And then on the tail end of this, we've now picked up a new severe thunderstorm warning, and it's for the hail. Now, could these areas merge and we get additional stronger storms in Polk County? Absolutely. Storms within this special weather statement have been able to work their way towards the coast. So right over the Oak Hill area right now, here comes this storm moving on by. Tremendous amount of lightning here. You're going to see a lot of lightning strikes from those cameras that got you up right now. UCF area, Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Park, solid thunderstorm, Azalea Park, Conway, down to MCO, Lake Nona, Medical City, Narcoossee, back to Buenaventura Lakes. Northern sides of Kissimmee, starting to move back into your area. Celebration, getting hammered. Same thing for Champions Gate. Champions Gate, Lothman area, these are areas that could have some hail moving in. If you live in the Champions Gate area, lovely area, you are under that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this core right here, potentially producing at least inch-sized hail or maybe more, basically paralleling I-4. Not expecting tornadoes, guys. Again, where we do have interaction, you can get some squirrely looking clouds. That absolutely is possible, all right? But overall, the atmosphere, and you might have some broad spin with some weak winds, but overall the atmosphere is not extremely conducive. Now look, it's low, but it's not zero. I'm not sitting here and saying that the tornado threat today is zilch, but it is pretty low. Now, one reason why you would get these carrots going in different directions is because there is a little bit of broad spin here, all right? We can take a look at that from the terminal Doppler out of Orlando, which is even closer. Again, there absolutely is a little bit of broad spin. You can see the greens and the reds next to each other, but the inbound winds, which are the green, are not very strong. You see how weak they are? You have much stronger straight line winds here. If we had some very high-end inbound green next to this, I would be a lot more concerned. But this is a really bad storm right now. You have winds easily over 40, but probably to 60. Boy, things just keep cracking in my house. I don't even know what that one was. Remember the noise we had last time I was on a stream? I don't even want to know what's going on anymore. Who knows? Here's a good push of wind, by the way, through Kissimmee and the Campbell area. You can see those brighter reds here. Again, same situation. You probably have some lowerings over Celebration, but the inbound winds are so weak, shouldn't be too significant here. Fresh winds over Lake Apopka, and some very strong winds headed towards Oak Hill. I'll monitor the situation. This would be my area of concern, kind of what we call a tail end Charlie on the back end of this whole line. But at this point in time, the inbound winds are not strong enough to be too concerned. This is what we call gate-to-gate shear. Again, there's a little here, but by knots, this is very weak. This storm is severe because of the hail size. Okay, that was a nice little view there. What made that noise in my, by my window? Oh boy, I don't even want to know what's breaking. All right, again, so severe thunderstorm warning, Polk County. Special weather statement for a good chunk of the other areas of Central Florida from Polk County all the way up to coastal Volusia County. Hopefully this storm, and by the way, I need to get back over to MCO. Hopefully this storm will try and rain itself out in the next hour and a half, but it has also led to areas of flood advisories, and you will see that information scrolling down below. A large part of the areas that have been most impacted by the storms today are also under flood advisories. Brevard, sorry about that. I'm losing a light. I think it's might have been one of my lights that did that. Hang on. Let me turn it off. That might have been what popped one of my lights. It's not on fire. That's good news. Ooh, it is exceptionally hot, though. Yeah, that one's pretty hot, too, though. All right. Sorry. So I might be a little bit darker for a second. I'm just going to reset here in a half second. Not too bad though. Okay, what do we got here? We got raining in Wekiva Springs. We can appreciate that. Cole asks if it's going to be as active tomorrow. It's hard to say it's going to be as active, but the opportunity is there. Friends, the opportunity for significant storms, sea breeze interaction, and strong storms, severe storms, flooding rains will be with us every day at least through Saturday. And I'm probably being conservative when I say at least through Saturday, because it's probably at least through Sunday, if not even early in the week. Every day through Saturday right now, we are under an excessive rainfall potential across all or portions of Central Florida. It just means that the sea breeze collision is going to be quite active, and these storms, if they wait until the later afternoon, are going to be exceptionally strong. Remember, heat of the day helps put fuel to the fire. The later the sea breeze waits to initiate, the higher our temperatures are, less cloud coverage, likely leading to stronger late afternoon, early evening storms. If the sea breezes arrive earlier, which could begin to happen starting Friday, potentially we have more widespread storms earlier in the afternoon, but we don't see the peak intensity like we had today and maybe tomorrow. I do expect tomorrow's chance to be a repeat of what we had today. Doesn't necessarily always mean it plays out that way, but I think the environment is there and conducive for a very similar situation. Rain has at least come to a stop right now. Apopka getting it. Appreciate that. Again, if you're just tuning in right now, severe thunderstorm warning, northeast Polk County, near the Polk City area, likely to stay east of Lakeland, okay? This cell is slowly marching west initially, but it should come back to the east here in the next half hour or so. And again, up to inch-sized hail. There is a special weather statement here as well. They issued a special weather statement, then they went severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm just going to drop the special weather statement so you can see this area. Goes until 6:45. Again, my system was picking up to 2-inch size hail, now 1.25, and potentially right over I-4. Can you imagine some, quarter plus to maybe golf ball or ping pong hail trying to develop over I-4? I hope that's not the case. All right. We have an NWS update. Severe thunderstorm warning for Polk County until 6:45. So just an update, not a new one. All right, let me bring back on the special weather statements. Again, another one down here. If you live in Sebring, you guys are under a special weather statement as well. We have some folks who always view in from Sebring too. Yes, so Jennifer, appreciate you tuning in from Oak Hill. I mentioned Oak Hill earlier about how bad it's going to get. Dark as night, raining like crazy, and it's going to get worse. Now, you may not get extremely strong winds, okay, but gray sky, black sky, prolific lightning, and a ton of heavy rain is coming your way. This is 5+ inches of rain per hour moving in. There's a little bit of forward speed now, but a quick 2 to 3 inches in Oak Hill over the next hour, absolutely on the table for you. So again, if you don't have to travel, it's a good piece of advice. Obviously, watch out for flooding of low-lying areas and ponding on roadways, and all that again headed towards Oak Hill. When we look at the loop over the last half hour, again, just beginning to get a little bit of that east push that we talked about. It's been slow to develop, but we're finally beginning to see that. Still outside of where we have our special weather statement, still a few storms developing in Lake County, even sneaking into southeast Pasco and northeastern sides of Hillsborough County. Again, you can see our sea breeze is still continuing to march west, right? So everything is now behind that and marching towards the east coast. Most concerned, if you will, about northern Brevard, Volusia counties. Could see a few storms eke towards Flagler County. And then just a really healthy thunderstorm complex, interior Volusia, pretty much all of Seminole County, central, eastern sides of Orange County, builds back to the southwest sides of Orange County, and into now the back end of this line that has actually really strengthened here within the last 20 minutes. which is why we have our new severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, lots of scud. Nothing yet for Winter Park. Appreciate that. Yeah, even if you don't get the most prolific of thunderstorms today, guys, you will likely get the outflow boundaries and the gust fronts, and that is a big push of that cooler air coming in out ahead of the thunderstorm. And if it does so, again, you're likely to see your winds change direction as well. All the numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. I'm just going to go back and check local storm reports again real quickly as well. I don't want that to loop, though. So here's another hail report. There you go, dime to nickel. Dime to nickel. Remember that cell? I mentioned this cell just east of 27 as it developed. So there you go. And that's right, about 5:57. It's exactly the time that we talked about that storm. Dime to nickel sized hail ongoing 2 miles north of Four Corners. Again, earlier we had nickel sized hail through portions of Winter Garden, kind of the south side of Winter Garden, south of 50, south of Colonial. And we had a 61 mile an hour wind at the Melbourne airport earlier. That one actually is not it. Let's see here. I might have to back it up a little bit. There it is. So there's your 61 at Melbourne at 4:13. Sassy's up. Sassy had her 12-week shots today. She's not herself right now. She's probably not happy with me either with all these storms. She's doing okay. She's doing fine. Talkie Talk says, skies towards Kissimmee, looking from just outside of St. Cloud, headed out to Kenansville, getting much darker now. Oddly enough, the wind lessened. Sometimes the winds will lessen and then you'll get it. I mean, and then the actual heavy rain and lightning comes in. Sometimes your strongest winds will be outside of where the actual worst rain and lightning and thunder are going to be. Again, still a lot of prolific lightning going on from our camera network. If you guys are new to the channel, maybe you just found us for the very first time on YouTube, I welcome you to Central Florida's live-only weather channel, monitoring the situation across our area at the hour. I'm only on when there's impactful weather. Thanks again for taking a quick second, hitting that like button and subscribing as well. If you got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Typically, we just track these storms in real time, guys. We use our technology, our live camera network, which is ever growing, and I promise you we're going to have additional cameras to show you guys coming up as we continue to provide you guys with what you hopefully is something that is unique and something that you guys enjoy. And I don't take it lightly that you find enough out of this channel to spend part of your day with me. So thank you so much for entrusting me in that. I hope you guys are safe. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, our cameras here just continue to show a very active, now into early evening at 6:37. Let's take a look at some of the individual cameras for you guys here as well. We'll start off with Southwest Sand Lake, where you just can't really see anything but the gray sky. But from time to time, we've also had some good lightning strikes. Again, this is southern sides of Metro Orlando, looking south and west from Sand Lake. Okay? Excuse me here real quick. Oh, no. Oh no, my wife just said we did lose some screen. I didn't want to look at that notification. All right. So I can tell you, with the severe thunderstorm that we had in Western Orange County, we lost some screen. Well, fun. All right. I had a bad feeling about that. Hey, J-Man, we lost almost 4 inches of rain in Oviedo. Appreciate that. Again, I'm a homeowner like many of you guys. You know, sometimes Mother Nature has no idea, doesn't care. I'll get smacked. I am from Florida, born and raised. Moved around the country as a television meteorologist, moved back here in 2013. Been here ever since. But I did work for 7 years in Oklahoma. and my car was destroyed one and a half times, the same car, by hail, like by baseball and softball hail. For some reason, they decided not to total it the first time, and it only took a couple more years until more baseball hail got it. So I've been there. It's been worse. If anyone's the owner of a screen company, reach out to me. Southeast Sand Lake shows you that thunderstorm. Again, absolutely gray there. Conway Cam will have this thunderstorm continuing to roll through. Again, it's so widespread right now. This is a lot of the view that we're getting across the area, right? Just massive areas of storms that are moving across the area. Trying to improve a little bit in Winter Garden. You can actually see a little bit here because this camera is looking off towards the west. A little bit, if you will, of what is going to be, I'm sure, a beautiful sunset for the West Coast. We do have an update. You can see that icon come on your screen. I'll go back on live. This is likely going to be another flood advisory. All right, so flood advisory for Polk County now. So there you go. This area that has had the severe thunderstorm warning is now under a flood advisory until 8:45. The question about the polygon and coffin, let me see here. If we're talking about this one, this is a special weather statement. It's for winds of 50, quarter-inch size hail, lasts until 6:45. All right. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do here with this one. Certainly, the worst weather is back south and west. So they are likely to at least continue the special weather statement for the southwest areas. They may not think that the winds are going to be strong enough here up to downtown Orlando, north towards Altamont, to produce another special weather statement, but it'll be close. Again, all they need is about 40-mile-an-hour winds to have a special weather statement. Severe thunderstorm warning, you have to have 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-sized hail. And again, this storm is a rough one over Polk City, Davenport, Champions Gate, back up to Four Corners and Celebration. KP says, just got a call from the spouse heading from Sumter to Lake County. Can't get on the turnpike near Wildwood. Traffic is crawling, probably backed up due to the heavy storms in Claremont. I would agree with that, or there's an accident of some kind, but it's not shocking that we're getting some traffic issues with the abundant amount of storms that we had today. Absolutely not out of the question that obviously this is likely weather related, whether it just be the weather or whether there be some weather related accidents as well. Hopefully nothing too bad though. So I'm happy to answer this question, but give me a time frame. Are you talking about like right now? Or are you talking about tomorrow? I'll call you Jen, Gen. Just let me know. I'm happy to answer the question for you, but I need to know the time frame. Still have some thunder there at Oak Hill. Send those treats to the dogs, no doubt about it. Hard times with 3 inches of rain there in Bithlo. So again, this is still a good storm right over the I-4 corridor from Lake Mary, Winter Springs, downtown Orlando, MCO, Meadow Woods. Okay. Good storm even up towards Cascia and Mount Plymouth there on 44. If you live in DeLand and Orange City and Deltona, you're going to get more storms. Same thing for Sanford. May not be severe, but again, everything is trying to push back off to your area. Luckily, this part of the cell has weakened a bit, but still some heavy, prolific rain over Oak Hill. And again, just this part of the storm, we're not done yet. Northeast Polk County, and even some additional cells refiring back over central Lake County, over Claremont, over Mascot, over Groveland and Mineola. All of this is going to expire right now at 6:45. We'll see what they want to do. Let's see if this is the new update even before we get it here. Until 6:53. Okay. The storm which promoted the warning has weakened. Okay. So that's interesting. It looks like they're going to let it go for a little bit longer. Technically, I guess that expires now. Oh, the warning will be allowed to expire. Okay. So this severe thunderstorm warning will go away right now at 6:45. Just a look at just before I put back on the special weather statements, if we get some more, and we should, if I had to guess, just a look at how, again, active the radar is. From our default view, we still have over 1,400 lightning strikes, but there are other problems that are coming along with these storms. So the new special weather statement now is going to get very close to Lakeland. Again, this storm is still trying to build west as other parts of it continue to move off to the east. What an interesting scenario. But now, winds of 50 and quarter-inch size hail could get as far west as Lakeland, Winter Haven, Hayden City, Auburndale, Lake Alfred, Davenport, Polk City, Winter Haven Airport, Lothman, Kathleen. You guys know these areas here. 45 minutes, so till 7:30. Still likely seeing some hail right around 92 in the Lothman area. If you live up in Campbell, some of this might be trying to head your way. Champions Gate, same situation, right? Opportunity for a little bit of hail here too. Chris says greetings from Lakeland. We've got the gray skies, we've got the thunder, the dark clouds in the northwest. Appreciate that. Dare I even ask my wife how many screens we lost? I don't even want to know. Why did I even look at this? That was a poor decision on my part. You're welcome, Betty. Good to see you. All right, okay. Sassy, anyone? I appreciate it. Yeah, again, happy to answer your question, Jen, about the dialysis. Just give me a time frame. Ominous looking there in the Auburndale area, I would imagine. Jen said 7 p.m. tonight. If it's 7 p.m. tonight, well, it's supposed to be there at 6:30, 7 at the latest. I might be able to change my appointment till tomorrow. Okay. And you said, I want to double check the area one more time too. West Kissimmee from Celebration. I mean, I don't think much is going to change in the next half hour or 10 minutes. This is all just kind of sitting there, and likely this little chunk is going to also, do you see how it's trying to swing north and east back up towards Kissimmee? I certainly, if we're talking about having to leave basically imminently, I certainly would say it's going to be an extremely rough drive. You know, it's always your decision, your responsibility. I try to give you guys as much information as possible, but I don't expect things to be much improved in the next 15 minutes. If there's an opportunity that you might be able to, change that time to tomorrow, it's something you might want to consider. But no, I don't expect there to be a quick improvement of the weather down in that area from Celebration to Kissimmee. Because again, even this core is trying to swing back north and east, even as this part of the storm moves west. Again, that's old, guys, so don't worry about that. This is the new data. So we haven't talked about the storms really being able to work their way into coastal Volusia County for the most part yet. But if you do live up in Kissimmee, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, Seabreeze, Wilbur by the Sea, South Daytona, Port Orange, Ponce Inlet, you're getting, again, pockets of heavy storms coming through. Still a fair amount of lightning. Still some moderate rain there, all the way back down towards New Smyrna and Edgewater and Bethune Beach. Still some rain and some hefty thunderstorms from time to time over interior sections of Volusia County. Just some solid rain right now for DeLand, Orange City, back down towards Deltona. It is a little bit rougher on the far northeast sides of Lake County near the Cascia area and areas off towards the west. Again, our live camera is still pretty much overcast with still a good amount of thunder in some spots. Thunderstorms are trying to develop even west of Umatilla and Eustis. That Leesburg wind was at 642. So look, even Leesburg is at a 30-mile-an-hour wind in just the past, 10 minutes or so. Here's a couple of those thunderstorms now as far west as 27, back over Mineola, Claremont, Groveland, Mascot, back down 27, where again we have a very rough storm over the northeast sides of Polk County, far northwest sides of Osceola. Look, at any point in time, the Weather Service office could reissue a special weather statement, especially for this southwest area. It's going to be about the wind more than anything. This one right now is for winds of 50 miles an hour. We've had, again, 35-plus mile-an-hour winds over MCO. Good lightning and heavy rain continues there. Hunters Creek, Meadow Woods, towards Belle Isle and Conway. You see our Conway cam there at the top left-hand side of your screen. 30-mile-an-hour wind at the Executive Airport about 30 minutes ago. And again, following that back up, good thunderstorms, Wekiva Springs, Apopka, Altamont Springs, Maitland, Winter Park, Eatonville, Fairview Shores. Just a lot of the metro Orlando area, and then back off towards the south. As far west now as Zephyr Hills, Plant City, couple of isolated storms there. And again, I'll watch for Lakeland to see if that storm can really get that far. Popping off in Polk City. Appreciate that report. Ooh. Heavy rain and dark and cloudy in the Point C area near Solivita. Appreciate that, Blue Polo. Again, thanks for letting me know what's going on, guys. Appreciate all those reports. Certainly the areas that have the worst weather right now are some of the areas that we just looked at on the chat. Northwest Osceola, northeast Polk County. Still could easily drive back into the southern sides of the metro Orlando area as well. Okay. Cool shot from Winter Garden. Again, storms are redeveloping in Lake County. May not be completely done in the western side of Orange County. You can see some of those wanting to move back in. Good to see you, Noble Pills. Hope you're doing well this evening. Appreciate you jumping in. Hope you had a good day, a busy day, I'm sure. Robin, appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. Sounds like we might have to start a new screen fund. Apparently, our patio cage took a pretty good hit from that thunderstorm with the hail earlier. It happens. I can tell you, I'm not expecting or have to get into an insurance claim process. I haven't looked at anything yet, so I guess I really don't know. But if I do, this is the guy I'm calling. Calling the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. You scan the QR code, it'll take you to their webpage. You can give them a call, 407-502-0053. Like most Central Floridians, I've been through the insurance claim process before with my roof. It was horrible. And that's not a lie. Like, it was bad. And I wish I knew Bobby at the time to walk me through it. They offer free consultation and policy reviews, so you really have nothing to lose. You want to support someone who supports the channel. You want to try and make that process go smoother. Reach out to them, 407-502-0053, or scan the QR code to get you to their website. Appreciate the Lean Law Firm being a sponsor of the channel. If you want to be a sponsor of the channel, you can scan the QR code at the top of your screen right now. You're a Central Florida business owner. You want to have a low ceiling access, if you will, to a lot of viewers here in Central Florida, a low cost opportunity. You can also be a sponsor of the channel or one of our cameras as well. Again, we appreciate all of the support. Thanks for everyone for just taking a quick second, hit that like button and subscribing to the channel as well. Okay, so I've been on now for like 2.5 hours. I'm going to take a quick 60-second break, maybe 2 minutes. But I will be right back momentarily. I'm going to throw on all of our camera network as I do so. And when I come back, we're going to reset the scenario at 7 o'clock for what I still expect to be a fairly active hour or two across the rest of Central Florida. So I'll be back in just 1 second, guys. Okay. Should be on. Should have a good mic. I think we're good to go. Appreciate you guys sticking with me. I had to take a quick second and just cursory look at the patio screen. Yep, we got some good damage. Got some good damage. If you are a patio screen repair owner or know someone who is, reach out to me via email. Let's talk. I have a feeling we're going to have to be doing some repair, but it happens. So again, the storms out in Lake County are still trying to reorganize. And so the winter garden camera still shows you A pretty ominous sky at the hour. Thunderstorms have back-built west in a pretty prolific fashion. So there's a pretty dark sky there. If we take a look from Sand Lake looking back west, again, kind of a darker, more ominous sky, relatively speaking there. Conway Cam is just basically gray, with a smattering of showers, a little bit of thunder from time to time there, a little bit of a breeze, but again, nothing too prominent, I guess, if you will, for the most part there. Things have quieted down a little bit at the hour. Okay, 7 o'clock, more or less. Great to see you here. Central Florida's live only weather channel. This is CFLW Rusty with you here on this Wednesday evening. I hope you're doing well. We've had some prolific thunderstorms move across Central Florida today. Our live camera network keeping you up to date with the latest. Again, this is a live only channel. I'm only on when there's impactful weather across Central Florida. Appreciate everyone tuning in for today. Thanks for jumping in the chat, letting me know what's been happening in your area. Keep those comments coming. We continue our coverage here live on the channel as there are still some impactful storms across the area. At this point in time, the storms that have built west through Lake and Polk counties are the ones in the short term that have kind of re-energized a bit. So we do have a special weather statement, which is currently in effect for portions of Polk County with a thunderstorm that is trying to slowly move west. Okay, most of the activity is trying to pull back east, but as these storms initially develop off of the sea breeze, there is still very slow, erratic, or even west movement in the short term or the beginning evolution of the storms, and then they get nudged back off towards the east. This special weather statement goes until 7:30, includes Lakeland, Winter Haven, Haines City, Auburndale, Lake Alfred, Davenport, Winter Haven, Winston, Kathleen. You can see all the areas on the screen. 50-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-inch size hail. I'm telling you, we're not done in Lake County yet. Look at the lightning count that is developing here up 33, trying to get up to the Groveland area. Additional healthy storm over Claremont and Mineola. This is all, again, just kind of redeveloping at the hour, and we'll see how this plays out. But this could also make a run back to the east eventually as well. The eastern chunk of this has died down a bit. This was moving back into an environment that in a lot of areas had already had one round of storms earlier in the day. Now, there are still chunks of some significant storms from the Oak Hill area up towards Edgewater, Spruce Creek, New Smyrna. Again, you see the numbers on your screen. Those are wind gusts. 25, 30-mile-an-hour winds, hefty rainfall, a fair amount of cloud ground lightning, but we've broken down some of this activity a bit at the hour, and now it's actually west or along I-4 where we have the most significant storms at the 7 o'clock hour in portions of Volusia and Lake and Seminole counties back into Osceola and into Polk counties. Conditions have improved over Brevard. You can see our live cameras showing you all of the lightning that's still ongoing here. And it's still going to be a pretty active forecast in these areas through at least the 8 o'clock hour, if not even a little bit beyond. We should lose some of this with the heat of the day as it goes away, but it may be kind of a slow burn scenario than anything. Still could see a couple of storms across I-75, but for the most part, it will be areas just to the east. And again, a little bit of a pull to the east coast as we get into the remainder of the evening hours. That's the overall setup for what's happening right now. All of Central Florida is under an excessive rainfall risk and is likely to be under an excessive rainfall risk, at least parts of our area through Saturday. Going to be a very active forecast, going to have a lot of opportunities here for storms to develop over the next couple of afternoons. Again, the one storm report out of Four Corners of up to some nickel-sized hail. We've had some other winds. Merritt Island had a 40, but earlier we had some dime-sized in Winter Garden and a 61-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Melbourne Airport a little bit earlier in the afternoon hours. So that's the current setup across our region, my friends, as we push through 7 o'clock. Nearly 1,400 lightning strikes in our view in the past 15 minutes. And we continue. Again, great to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. Hi, Desert Rose. Question about rain for South Lakeland. I mean, Yes, the opportunity is absolutely there, okay? And as this storm pushes west, it's likely to weaken a bit. So hopefully you do get the benefit of seeing a stronger storm, but not outrageously severe. So I'll cross my fingers that you get what you need and you don't get anything worse than that. Starting to get some rain in Winter Park. KP says a little bit of rain in Groveland. By the way, KP, the Vitamin Water Fund back to good use again. Thank you very much. I mean, first of all, yeah, bowls. I'm with you on that. When I looked at my patio screen, that's what I said. I said balls. Thunder rolling constantly here in West Kissimmee Celebration. Appreciate that. Holy lightning, I think our house just got struck. Not out of the question. Tremendous lightning in some areas. By the way, Talkie Talks, let me know again where you're viewing from. Who's on the loose from Celebration? Again, even if it's just a hi, I appreciate you guys coming in the chat. Let me know what's happening in your area, or the quick hi is always very welcome on the channel as well. Appreciate you guys making a fantastic weather community. Again, you know, part of what I do is showing you the radar or live cameras, breaking down the scenario. But the other part and the big part of this channel is the live interaction with you guys. You guys interacting with each other or interacting with me, asking me questions, letting me know in the chat what's happening in your area. One thing I don't want to gloss over is the flooding rains. You're seeing down below in our kind of information ticker here that there are several flood advisories in effect. Now, if there's a flash flood warning, which means flooding is occurring as we speak, that will show up on my radar system as a polygon, just like a severe thunderstorm warning would. In the flood advisory category, we look at it in a county by county basis. So I do have to kind of click into the counties to give you the information, but there are several flood advisories that are currently in effect. Right now, we have 3 flood advisories that basically go, let me just click off of this real quick. I'm going to give you guys an idea of where these are. So they basically go from Deltona and they go back into the northern side of Polk County. So basically, again, we have to look at this at a county by county view, but basically anywhere in this kind of bean shape, you're going to be under a flood advisory, okay? So now let me give you the details on that. We have a flood advisory for Central Orange, Eastern Seminole, South Central Volusia until 7:30, so for 23 more minutes. 2 to 2.5 have already fallen, 1 to 2 more expected, so 3 to 4.5. And again, in some areas, I would probably favor the higher end of this. Let me just take this and move it a little bit. Oh, I forgot it's on the window. It's on the windshield there, so I can't do that, but I can do that. All right, so again, in this flood advisory for this area, Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Winter Springs, Orange City, Lake Helen, Geneva, Lake Jessup, Chuliota, UCF, Buffalo, Osteen, Union Park, Mullet, Lake Park, Sanford, Airport, Lake Harney, Farmington, Enterprise, and Cassadaga. Okay. That's flood advisory number 1. Flood advisory number 2 is this one for southwestern Orange, northwestern Osceola, and south central Citadel until 8 p.m. You've got 1.5 to 2.5 already falling, 1 to 2 more likely. So again, 2.5 to 4.5 favor the higher amounts possibly, and we'll take a look at the estimates coming up. These areas include Orlando, Kissimmee, Winter Park, Castleberry, Maitland, Wedgefield, Windermere, Bay Lake, Oak Ridge, Conway, OIA, Buenaventura Lakes, College Park, Azalea Park, Celebration, Goldenrod, Intercession City, and Avalon Park. It's just a huge chunk of the Metro Orlando area all the way back into the northeast sides of Polk County that are under these flood advisories. And then this one is for north central Polk County, 2 to 4 inches of rain, for Davenport and Loughborough. So just kind of sneaking into the northeast sides of Polk County. So there you go. Those are the flood advisories in effect. All right. Let's do this real quick. Let's look at the amount of rain that could possibly have fallen. All right. So this is going to be your estimated rainfall over the last 12 hours. First of all, you can clearly see how so many areas of Central Florida got hammered today. Yes, much sparser west, 75 west, but I-95 and especially interior locations later in the day, just a tremendous amount of rain. Again, these are radar estimates, but anywhere that you see the blacks and the blues are going to be over 3 inches. So you follow from Polk City right up I-4 into Four Corners in the Oak Ridge MCO area, and then you follow that up towards University Park. Here's just a huge swath of at least 3 to 4, and sometimes when it's coming down cats and dogs, when it's coming down frog strangler kind of rain, this system can't keep up with that kind of high rainfall rates, okay? So it could be undercutting what has actually been falling here. But 2.5 to 4.5 from the Weather Service, and I think some areas will be on the higher end of that, okay? Then you also need to realize that this information is just slightly behind real time. It takes a little bit of time for it to basically take the real-time radar information and to turn it into this product. It's close to real time. We get a good idea, but you could certainly add on additional rainfall, especially in the southwest areas from what we're already seeing. But again, a pretty good swath here of 3, 4 plus inches of rain for today. Earlier in the day, Brevard County had some decent thunderstorms, and then basically following 27 south, we had pockets of some pretty heavy rain and storms as well. Okay. A lot of lightning from our Sand Lake cameras. Those are popping off at the hour, as the kids say. My kids would say. This is what southwest Sand Lake looks like right now. See if we catch some of that lightning. As I was churning on about the rain, I saw there's a fair amount of lightning flashes in these cameras. Back to the chat real quick. Rainy and wind there in Fruitland Park. I appreciate that. Just now it says good afternoon. This switches it to good evening. All good. It says so far 0.9 inches of rain in horizon west. Still looking ugly out. Hi from VR East and Brevard. Are we in for more storms, or is this until tomorrow? I always watch you when you're live. First of all, I appreciate that, Michael. Thank you very much. So I'll cover these storms for the rest of this evening as necessary, right? And it's gonna, it is, kind of my call as far as that goes, and how long we cover them, and what the impacts are. But I'll always make sure I am on for you guys, and the opportunity for tomorrow is absolutely still there. Now, as far as Brevard goes, these storms might have a difficulty trying to get that far east before they die back down with losing the heat of the day. I mean, they're pretty far west right now to make that march off towards the east. Not out of the question. You'll see a good light show west, if nothing else. But for right now, if storms get back into Brevard County, it's likely after sunset, and it is likely to be in a much weaker fashion as it does so. Again, good lightning from our Sand Lake camera. Still a really ominous sky back into Winter Garden. Again, here comes more storms back into our Winter Garden camera, as if this area hasn't gotten hammered enough today. This would be round number 3 at least. But, what we really saw over western Orange County was a storm that developed right over this camera. I mean, right over it. And again, we had some good hail. You guys saw that live earlier. If you didn't catch that, when this live stream gets posted to the channel, go back and watch the beginning of the live stream. You're going to see hail pinging off that patio, the top of that patio cage there. That was at least dime size, maybe a few nickels. And then the report just a mile west of this camera was some nickel-sized hail. Now again, good lightning here from the Sand Lake cam looking south and east. We call this our Epic cam, and the reason why we do that, right behind those trees is Epic Universe, the new Universal theme park. We can actually see the fireworks displays and a lot of lightning. Mother Nature doing their own fireworks displays here at 7:14 on this Wednesday. KS World, appreciate you jumping in the chat and letting me know what's happening. Around 30-mile-an-hour winds in Lakeland. Look, I love the estimated report. Look, not everyone has, anemometers and barometers and thermometers in their backyards. Giving me a broad view of what you think you're seeing is perfectly fine. And so I absolutely appreciate that, KS World, for that report of the 30-mile-an-hour winds there in Lakeland. Lady Q says 15 to 20-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rain here in St. Cloud, 192 in Neptune Road. Mike says, I'm tired of hearing thunder here in Daytona and getting no rain. I would not blame you. If you're in that bubble of no rain, I get it. And again, look at this almost, it's not aqua, but it's a lighter color to those storms coming back into our winter garden camera. So we're going to get another good shot of that activity there. Let's look at that right now on radar, guys. Just a huge cluster of storms right now. So again, Claremont, Groveland, Mineola, down 27, down 33, Turnpike 50 to 429. That's what you're seeing there from that winter garden camera. Still have right now our special weather statement. Good cell over the Auburndale area. This will likely warrant a special weather statement. That's a good thunderstorm over St. Cloud. Likely some hail over the Turnpike. So from St. Cloud south, do you notice that has kind of bowed out a little bit? So now the eastern extent of the storms in Osceola County, that's beginning to sharpen up a bit. That is an indication to me that the wind profile is picking up within those storms. And if that wind profile continues to pick up, the Weather Service is going to be issuing a special weather statement here, all right? Could there be a little bit of broad rotation? Certainly some SLCs? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's where the greens and the reds are together. Same situation here within this special weather statement. The wind profile at the low levels for rotation is not significant, but there is likely at least some broader rotation, maybe one near Polk City, especially on the south side, Auburndale, Winter Haven, Inwood areas. Likely a little bit of broad rotation here. Again, just low base to those clouds. And again, closer to sunset, you get them backlit so you can kind of actually see them a little bit clearer. But my opinion would be if this continues to ramp up, this is the next area that could get some a new special weather statement. Now again, earlier in the broadcast when Conway had the worst of the storm, I switched over to the Conway cam. I'm going to go back over to Winter Garden here because now that storm's moving in pretty seriously. I'm also, before it dies out, I'm going to switch microphone packs. So give me just 1 second here. I'm going to switch microphone packs real quick, guys. Okay. You actually might be hearing me on both microphone packs right now. Okay. That should be a smooth transition of microphones. I still have levels. As always, you guys can help me. Noble Pills is also in the chat if for some reason you can't hear me, but I think we're good to go. Again, here comes Winter Garden with another storm. Right over it. Again, Brevard County. Question about Brevard County. How strong these storms in Osceola County can remain as they get closer to Brevard as we lose the heat of the day and sunset. Now, doesn't mean we're not going to get rain and storms back into Brevard County, but will they still hold together in a variety that could still have some special weather statements? We'll see. Again, we're getting deeper into August. It's still daylight very late. Sunsets now are right around 8 p.m. in most areas. So last gasp of daylight is still the latter half of 8 o'clock. But obviously it looks like a basically sunset out there right now from a lot of our cameras, as thick as the overcast skies are. Again, this is what I'm concerned about, is that we're starting to pick back up the opportunity for some hail here, but also just this sharp line indicates that there's good outflow of wind being produced from this storm. So my thought would be, if that trend continues, they're likely going to have to issue a special weather statement on this part of the storm. This continues to kind of slowly move west. I mean, it has reached the far northwest sides of Lake County. Just a couple of little showers near Plant City and Zephyr Hills. Auburndale still has some good rain and storms. You can see from the Winter Garden camera, this cluster that's over Claremont, Groveland, Montverde is moving back east into the western sides of Orange County, excuse me. Put everything back into motion for you. Again, half-hour movement here, guys. Yes, there's a little bit of push east, but if I put my finger in a spot, some storms have moved even west of that, right? Look at that little building west there. Even here, that's new development in the last half hour, okay? So certainly, again, interior western zones could still see some good thunderstorms here in the short term. And you do have, again, a bit of an east push, especially down in Osceola County, but not a lot of movement in general, and certainly no consensus movement with these storms. Sea breeze can happen sometimes like that when you have weak steering currents, which is what we have overhead. Thank you, Just Nautilus. I appreciate that. I have good question. I have zero idea. What I will say, though, is that obviously this kind of activity only helps the situation, right? Obviously, this continues to help the drought situation for most of Central Florida. West Coast would raise their hands and say, what the heck? But obviously, the more rain we get as we move through the rest of summer, it's only going to help. I do want to stop, take a second. Guys, we got to get the hearts out in chat from Late Nightly for $25 super chat. Thank you for your service, good sir. Good luck with the screen door. Thank you very much, Late Nightly. I appreciate that. I also wish it was just the screen door, but these are like very large screens of a patio cage that have been ripped apart. So I appreciate that, but we will put that money to good use. So thank you very much for that, Late Nightly. Again, let's get the hearts out in chat. Sorry to get louder there. Oh, I was in stereo. Gotcha. Yeah, so for a brief second, I had both mic packs on. Kind of forgot that just because I ripped the cord out of one doesn't mean it like automatically dies. Thank you again. Late Nightly, appreciate the support. Have a great evening. Again, that's what I love about the channel. Folks can come on. You can come on from the very beginning, stay to the very end. But I absolutely don't blame you for coming on, checking things out, seeing what's happening for a while, and then going on with your life if things have improved in your area. This is what the live-only part of this channel does. It's fantastic. Some just really are weather nerds like I am, and they want to stick around and see what's happening across the area. And others are very interested in what's happening in their particular location, or maybe where they work, or where their family or friends are. They check in. If everything's good to go, maybe they call it a night a little bit early, and I don't blame them as well. But I do appreciate you guys thinking enough about this channel to at least spend part of your days with me when there is active weather here in Central Florida. Still a fair amount of lightning coming from all three of the cameras that we have up for you right now. Still concerned about what I'm seeing out of the St. Cloud area. Who lives in St. Cloud? Anyone live in St. Cloud, especially south of 192? Let me know in the comments section below what's happening there. Just Nautilus had yet another round of heavy rain back in Horizon West. Appreciate all the members of the channel as well. Quieting down in Apopka, are these storms moving or mostly stationary? They're not moving much. If anything, in the Apopka area, they're either kind of just dying down or they're slowly moving east. However, there are additional storms back into Lake County, which ultimately might try and move back over Apopka. So you're not completely in the clear in Apopka, because any of this activity in Lake County might try and pull back east as we go through the latter half of the 7 o'clock hour through the 8 o'clock hour. Now, they may be weakening a bit as they do so. I keep talking about that trend, but it's yet to really occur. It's still 7:30, as gray as everything is right now. It's not sunset yet. These storms arrived pretty late in the day, so we had plenty of surface heating to put fuel to the fire. And again, these storms are still pretty darn rowdy out there. That's an unpleasant view from our winter garden camera. You can see the shelf cloud on the right-hand side of your screen. We're looking to the west, so south and west to the left-hand side of your screen, where the worst part of that cell is in the southern sides of Lake County, just trying to move right back over the western sides of Orange County. So likely we're going to get impacted one more time at least by this storm here from the winter garden camera. And again, just a lot of gray overcast from our Sand Lake cameras. A lot of lightning too. Not great for the attractions. Lake Buena Vista, I-Drive, Malt Millennia, places like that. Very wet early evening in Lake Buena Vista. Again, from time to time, you'll see a little bit of lightning back there. This camera is just 1 mile from Disney property. It's almost the closest residential property you can get back over to places like the Magic Kingdom. So it's a great camera to have as we monitor the situation for the attractions. One reason why is, of course, we know regardless of the time of day or even the weather, folks are going to want to be out and about in that part of Central Florida. Lady Q says, now thunder with heavy rain coming down in sheets. Appreciate that. And that is St. Cloud 192 and Neptune Road, guys. It is interesting how sometimes there's an event, right, that changes our perception, especially when it comes to weather. So I grew up on the West Coast. I grew up in Citrus County, Crystal River. Backyard was a freshwater canal, so I grew up right on the immediate coast, and we had to evacuate with Hurricane Alina and just other storms as well. And that was kind of my orientation, or my welcome to part to weather. But it is interesting how one specific event can really turn the tide. Hopefully, if anything else, though, you respect the weather. You don't fear it, right? But there are certainly some things that stick in your mind. Now, also, if you guys grew up around Central Florida, the no-name storm of 1993, the March storm of 1993, flooded out our house with salt water. So I've been there. I've lost a home, if you will, as a teenager back then. Had to move out for over 6 months. So I understand the impacts that Central Florida weather can have for us here. Obviously, at times of hurricanes and tropical storms, we'll be on live, the channel, tracking those for you guys as well. Grew up one canal off of Kings Bay. You know the Humpback Bridge? Back to Three Sisters? First canal. Actually, when I was growing up, Three Sisters was private property, and our next door neighbors were actually owners of Three Sisters. So I got to enjoy Three Sisters. Very glad it's now become private, public property, and that everyone can enjoy it. But it's a beautiful area back there. Also, certified scuba diver there in the caves there in Crystal River, Crystal Bay. I appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words. Again, one of the things that we hope you guys enjoy here is all the technology. It's really what we invest in to give you guys what we think is the best presentation out there, right? And I love this as well, right? Kathy's saying, I listened to you on my way home from Sanford. Thank you, Rusty. Appreciate that. Of course, the other great thing is on your phone, on your tablet, on your TV, take us on the go wherever you are. So thank you for doing so. And, again, we are envisioning other ways for that process to happen as well, to be really a full-time channel for you guys. But obviously, again, thanks for thinking enough about the channel to say those kind words. So back over to the cameras. Again, thunderstorm moving into Winter Garden as we speak. Very light sky out there on the south side of that storm. A lot of lightning continues from our Sand Lake cameras. That's the one right now that's looking off to the south and to the west. You can see a few lightning strikes there. Catching even more lightning strikes from this one. Again, this is our what we call our epic cam. You can see some of the lightning strikes there in the distance. Even if skies have lightened a little bit, there is still some prolific lightning going on right now. So don't get caught off guard. This is just not the time to run outdoors, maybe take the trash bin in, get the dog out for a walk or something like that. I mean, these storms still cover up a fair amount of Central Florida. The trend as far as their intensity are our friend. I'm still highly concerned about this part of the cell. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do. We have a storm, though, that certainly looks like it's getting rowdy. South side of St. Cloud, trying to get to Harmony and Holopole, and we'll see how much eastern movement it wants to do at that strength. This special weather statement is going to expire now. There is still a nasty hail core over Auburndale. Anyone lives in Auburndale, let me know. I mean, high reflectivity here. Likely at least some pea-sized hail. Thunderstorms have been able to work their way as far west as Plant City. So we mentioned Lakeland. Maybe it's not a ton of rain. I don't think everyone in Lakeland is going to get some rain and storms, but we've at least pushed this cell far enough west where we have the opportunity, and hopefully it behaves. Hopefully it doesn't kick up and become severe, or at least on the stronger side, and produce any damage. Bring back on the wind gusts. Auburndale's had a 30 recently. MCO had a 35. But again, you guys can clearly see, here's that sharpening up on the east side of that line in northern Osceola County. Lightning count has come down a touch. We would anticipate that, but still, it's 7:30. You can see our cameras are still lighting up right now like it's actually the 4th of July. And in this view, in the last 15 minutes, we've still had more than 760 lightning strikes. Hello, Ben Obi-Wan. I-4 and 570, very dark and gray with heavy rain. Looks like about 5 inches of rain so far. Wow. And that, I believe, absolutely the opportunity for 4 to 5 plus inches of rain. Appreciate that report. If you've had any flooding or seen any flooding, please let me know. Hey, Bob, pouring in frost-proof. Appreciate that, Bob. I clicked on your chat with not even reading the second part, but I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. KP says, hey, in Groveland, rain is raining 1 inch per hour, but I stepped outside because I can hear the rain over you. The rain is blowing sideways. So there you go. All right, Groveland. Again, still a good storm here in Lake County. And again, it's back built west all the way towards Mascot now. Still coming down. Good amount of lightning. 75 lightning strikes in this view in the past 15 minutes. Torrential rainfall. Again, a ton of flood advisories that are currently in effect. I just don't want our information ticker to flash with a flash flood warning. I don't want the Weather Service to have to kick it up to that notch. Hopefully, it won't be the case. So again, at the hour, or at the very brief time frame since 7:30, no special weather statements or severe thunderstorm warnings. I don't know if we're fully said and done yet, though. Still, I think the opportunity that the northern side of Polk County, especially on the south flank of this, maybe nudging into Lakeland, still could be promoting of a special weather statement, all right? I'm most concerned about this junk. Look at that. Trying to really get going over Harmony, St. Cloud. Good little wind field here over these areas. I know, you know the Weather Service is keeping a close eye on it. They typically have to issue or want to issue with winds of over 40. It's real close, man. This can translate down to the ground, easily be 40. I certainly think that, if they issued a special weather statement here at any point in time, I would have no qualms about that. I would feel just fine about them doing so. Notice as well, a couple of little cells have developed even towards the southwest side of the populated areas of southwest Brevard County. So even a few more cells down there out by themselves. It's just overcast with moderate rain and still some lightning here in Metro Orlando. Generally speaking, the farther north that you go, it's a little bit better right now. Still raining though. Oviedo, Lake Mary, then up into Sanford and Deltona, kind of all Volusia County. Nice little string of storms offshore. We'll take a look at this from the Jacksonville radar. We're not going to have to cut through as much from the Jacksonville radar. Just want to show you that again. I got you, Volusia County. We can handle this, the moderate rain. But if you guys have anything you want to point out to me in the chat, please feel free to do so. You can see the spotty nature of additional little cells developing inland. Let's get all still again, try and make a run towards the coast in the next hour. Obviously, my friends in Tampa St. Pete, appreciate you guys tuning in. You have been drier. Now look, our boundary has marched all the way across the state. That's why these storms continue to propagate to the west. So could we see this activity get into Dover and Mango and Brandon and Seffner and Thonotosassa and Temple Terrace? It's not out of the question. It's just so darn late in the day that eventually this will kind of blow itself out and there won't really be additional development here. But it's not out of the question that towards I-75, especially in Hillsborough County, maybe Manatee County, we get a couple of storms here. Certainly you can see the storms building behind that. Places like Highlands and DeSoto counties. A couple of thunderstorms offshore, but right now they're just staying there. Again, all is quiet, relatively speaking, in Brevard for the hour. But we got to watch out and see what happens in the next hour with this activity and trying to make a run. We've got so much lightning going on right now. Ooh, saw lightning too. Let's go into, I'm just going to let our camera system run while I'm talking and I get back into the chat. So Linda there in the Titusville area says the storms have arrived with lots of wind and lightning. Tech and Games X says coming down hard over Alligator Lake and St. Cloud. Appreciate that. Again, good amount of lightning going on right now. So Talkie Talk says the storms are here in St. Cloud, headed towards Kenansville. Our back porch is flooded, as is a portion of our front lawn. Well, sorry to hear that. It's not shocking, though, guys, that we're going to get some, pockets of some urban flooding, right? Certainly, you can see overflowing pools. If you live in a neighborhood where, your side yards flood very quickly, that's an opportunity. If you live, where obviously maybe you're in a lower point of some of this land in your area and the water flows towards you, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain can absolutely bring water to your doorstep. Hello, Crafty. Says stay safe in Sebring, everyone. Rumbling right now, but the rain is not bad. What do we have to look forward to this evening? Probably not much more in Sebring. I would expect most of the activity to kind of be dying out that far south. It doesn't look like those storms have energized that far south again. So I think overall, besides some light rain with the overcast skies, Seabreeze is looking pretty good. Hello, my namesake, Pasco. Again, a thunderstorm or two could try and sneak into the eastern sides of Pasco County as the sea breeze continues to march that far west. But if it's going to do so, it's got about an hour before it really begins to lose its punch. Lucy says finally getting some rain there in Sanford, making the veggie garden quite happy. So again, you can see that thunderstorm coming back over Winter Garden. Not extremely prolific, but some. Looks like we've frozen our Disney cam there for a second, but we'll get it back. KP says they're up to 3-inch rain per hour rainfall rates. Again, significant, especially when these storms aren't moving quickly, right? So if they're not moving much, that's the problem. You can get close to that rainfall rate per hour if these storms just don't really want to do much more than sit over an area. And despite the fact that we've seen the sea breeze interaction occur, and we can clearly see from the Tampa radar where the East Coast sea breeze has been able to march its way all the way over across the state. And I'll show you that from the Tampa radar. Even behind these cells, and here is that boundary, even behind this activity, right, everything has been quite slow to move. The wind profile in the atmosphere, lower mid levels, is just not very significant. There's just not much there. Get back our Disney cam here. Question about Deltona. Yeah, I would expect there, again, continue to be a little bit of light rain in the Deltona area. That far north, the storms are not very significant west of you. So outside of what I'm expecting to be kind of what you see in your camera screen right now, which is overcast with some light rain, no, I'm not expecting much more for Deltona tonight. So some good lightning there in the Sand Lake cameras. So again, if you have any thought of going outside in the shorter term, you might want to rethink that, guys. Okay, now 7:40 on this Wednesday evening. Hope you're doing well. Again, came on now what was probably 3 hours ago. We had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, and you guys saw what these storms did. I mean, that storm over Winter Garden really did a number here. Some damage to the house, but it's okay. And, you know, lost some screens, but I'm sure several others did as well. But this kind of impactful weather is likely to be with us in a variety of ways through at least Saturday. So there's a high likelihood, there's never a guarantee, there's a high likelihood I'll see you guys every day through Saturday at least, and the opportunity could be extended beyond that. Now, tomorrow, in my opinion, looks like a very similar setup to today, where the thunderstorms might hold off until pretty late in the afternoon. And if that is the case, then you can get these really potent late afternoon, early evening storms because the heat of the day really fuels the fire. Beginning on Friday, we could have a little bit earlier initiation of storms. The storms could be more widespread on Friday and Saturday, but they may not be as high magnitude at the higher end, right? They may not be as high as what we're going to see today and what we might see tomorrow, but Friday and Saturday could still be impactful days. So I'll be monitoring the situation for you guys there as well. But again, whenever there's impactful weather, I'll be on here covering it for you guys live. Good night, Nautilus. You got it, Rusty. Appreciate it. Again, thank you very much to PebMets for the $10 super chat, and then Late Nighty for the 25. So again, appreciate the support of the channel. Appreciate all the members here at CFLW as well. All right. So my opinion is going to be, look, if they haven't issued the special weather statement here, they're likely not. Still could see some half-inch size hail. It would have to be the wind criteria. I mean, they could issue for 40-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-inch size hail, but this is still a significant storm over St. Cloud, Harmony, and Holopole at the hour. It does look to be basically tracking right across 192. Slow east movement, if anything. This has begun to behave a little bit better over Polk City, Winter Haven, Plant City, and now over Lakeland. Again, we're seeing this turn more into reds. We're losing some of the fuchsias and neon blues there. And everything else is just kind of spread out a bit, lost a little bit of its intensity, but still a lot of lightning here. Claremont, Montverde, Winter Garden, Ocoee, even towards downtown Orlando. But right now in our area, these are the two clumps of stronger storms. Still have some redevelopment up towards Umatilla. Still now even getting, as the sea breeze just continues to push west, a few storms developing in central and eastern Marion counties. Still have a few storms up in St. John's, and then more just overcast with some scattered showers and light rain, coastal Volusia County, Daytona all the way down to Oak Hill, and then northern Brevard County over Titusville, Indian River City. Now look, still could be some chunks of stronger winds and a lot of lightning embedded within all of this. I don't want to gloss over this fact, but this is not going to be severe, okay? But again, lightning is not a factor in special weather statements or severe thunderstorm warnings. The amount of rain, the rainfall rate's not a factor. Wind, hail, that's it. Wanda, good to see you tuning in from Auburndale. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Hope you're doing well. We got the Auburndale area covered right here in Polk County. Again, good thunderstorm there. That was an area. By the way, Wanda, did you have any hail of any size, even if it was just pea-sized hail? If you did, let me know. There was at least a hail core on the northeast side of Auburndale for a time. So I am curious. I'm always looking for that ground truth information, right? I can see what I see on my radar and equate that. But just like from our winter garden camera earlier, where we had the hail core live, always like to get that, just kind of clarification that there actually was hail in that spot. Okay. So still some good lightning here, guys. I do like the trend. Remember, we get to the latter part of the day. I say the trend is our friend. We would expect this and anticipate this, right? To have the storms come down a bit. But to be very clear, the Sand Lake area doesn't look like too much, right? Look at that lightning. Look at the lightning from our cameras. If nothing else, it's just still a real good light show. Of course, I say that, and for the time being, our quick look at the southwest side of Sand Lake, we don't actually have any lightning strikes on cam. Let's see if I switch over to southeast Sand Lake, our Epic cam, if we get anything. Saw one or two there. Yep. So again, just good thunderstorm right now over this area. Hey, Dr. Checkmate, steady rain there in the Winston area, but no hail. Wanda, I appreciate you saying that. Let me know. So no hail where she was in Auburndale, just some real good rain. Again, back over to our other Sand Lake cam. There's some lightning out of that one. Still some thunder and lightning in the Winter Garden area, but again, that cell is falling apart a little bit as it moves off into this area. But look, don't get me wrong, it's still a noisy early evening in the western side of Orange County. Certainly not done by any stretch of the imagination, but we're beginning to see it fade a bit. So we like that trend there as well. But again, I'm not giving you guys the all clear to get back outside. I'm not sure the last time Sassy went to the restroom. Hopefully it wasn't inside. 12-week-old golden retriever, you never know. Again, she had her 12-week shots today, so she's not feeling quite herself. She's doing just fine, though. So again, a good part of Orange County, northwest Osceola, northeast Polk County, still under flood advisories at the hour, okay? At this point in time, this would be the only cell still. I know I keep harping on this cell, but this would be the one that if there was going to be a special weather statement, this would probably be it. This is still some decent convection that has fired back up over northern Polk County, which has made its way to Lakeland, through northern Polk, through Lake County, and even the eastern sides of Sumter and Marion counties. Pockets of heavy rain here, but likely to be a little bit too late in the day, too late in the game to really flare up to be too significant. okay? Still could linger deeper into the evening hours, but probably just not pulsing up to the intensity that we had earlier this afternoon. But this particular cell, again, out of the St. Cloud area, it's still quite prominent. And you can still see the lightning here from our camera. Again, looking south and east, we're looking basically right back into that cell. Does look like it's trying to go a little bit north of east. So maybe, Merritt Island, Cocoa, Port St. John, Sharps area. And again, now a little bit of development even into the northeast sides of Hillsborough County. Again, southern areas trying to rain themselves out a little bit quicker. This little cell, all by its lonesome, has fired up over far southwest sides of Brevard County, basically moving north. This all might come together. Good lightning over Winter Garden still. Again, we're not completely said and done by any means. Mishkipamas asked about, are storms headed to the southern portions of villages? We hear thunder. If you're going to get any, it's likely developing just off towards your east, kind of spotty, but they're trying to slowly develop here. Again, very isolated in nature, likely not going to be too prominent or stick around very long, but you could catch a quick developing storm over portions of the villages. Again, the question I have is just how far west can these continue to develop as we're almost at sunset now? Again, I do appreciate you guys tuning in on this Wednesday evening. Hope you're doing well. Hope you weren't impacted too bad by these storms, but they got rowdy in a hurry. Now, again, monitor the situation for tomorrow. Likely to be a scenario where we could have more impactful weather redevelop late in the afternoon and the early evening, just like today. So, certainly round two could have the same kind of punch that today's storms did, and we're likely to see additional impactful weather both Friday and Saturday as well. May not be on the higher end of storms Friday, Saturday, but not out of the question it could be. Excessive rainfall potential each and every day through Saturday is in the forecast. So in just this little ball here, kind of doing its thing, if you will, certainly has turned a little bit more north, kind of skirting East Lake Toho, St. Cloud, Harmony. Now, if it continues in this fashion, again, could it skirt MCO in Medical City and Lake Nona? Not out of the question, but likely going to just follow the 417 up to the beach line and then maybe up towards the Wedgefield area. Eventually, it's got to also push off to the east. It's just not going to curly Q back due north. It's got to have some east push to all of this, and that's what you see over the last half hour. But again, slow, erratic movement with some back building south and west. At the same time, some of the storms are moving east. Dominic says, very dark around me right now, no rain where I'm at. Appreciate that. Okay, we have hail in Polk City when it started at dime. So dime-sized hail. Thank you very much, Robin. And I appreciate that too, Mushkipotamus. It's getting cookie in Cocoa? Getting cookie. Or kooky. Is there more lightning in population congested areas? Just curious. Not that I am aware of. I don't think population centers have anything to do with lightning count. So obviously it's about storm potential development in certain hotspots across the country, but I don't believe that there's ever been a correlation between population centers and the amount of lightning. Oh, Dolly would be the next one. Yeah, right. Also, of course, RIP Dolly Parton. But it is interesting that our next named storm is going to be Dolly. We'll see if that comes from Invest 96L, which is, in the tropical Atlantic, or whether it's another storm. You know, look, with an El Nino, those storms out there in the main development region of the Atlantic, and don't even think about the Caribbean right now, they just cannot hold together. So, you know, down the road, could there be something a little bit closer to home to monitor? Yes. Now, most of you know, I do another channel called Media Mundo. It is a forecast channel for the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Obviously, mainly talking about tropical weather as well. But when there are tropical storms and hurricanes that impact us, I'll be live on this channel. All right. We did that with Hurricane Milton, and I think Milton and Helene last year, where we started coverage when the storms were more southwest Gulf over on Media Mundo. But then as the storms came close to our coastline, we switched it over here to CFLW as well. So you will have full hurricane and tropical storm coverage on the channel to hopefully not look forward to, because who wants to see one of those? But if they occur, I'll be here. Hello, Stella, Persian's cat, CEO, Pie Cat. Hey, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right, so what you're seeing right now from our cameras is good light shows, but storms that, for the most part, that are behaving, right? We haven't had a special weather statement since 7:30. The storms are going to continue to be out there for a while. Hopefully everyone is back where they want to be, or if you do need to run an errand, hopefully it has tapered off in your spot. Still some areas we're going to want to be cautious about getting out, even on this latter part of this Wednesday evening, you know, with some of the activity. Lightning is still a big threat out there. We still have our flood advisories in a couple of spots. Not overtly concerned about significant flash flooding. We haven't had a flash flood warning yet. That being said, though, ponding on roadways and flooding of some low-lying areas and potentially some water over roadways is not out of the question. You can see the Conway cam. Again, you know, there's some light rain falling at this camera at the hour. But other than that, it's a pretty calm, still look. Not a lot of wind near downtown Orlando. And again, just really healthy lightning continuing from our cameras here at Sand Lake. This is not going to change anytime soon. It's going to be hours, maybe till 10 o'clock or beyond, for these cells to eventually just kind of fade away slowly. Now, you guys know the Winter Garden camera looks west. So behind some of these storms, we can get some awesome sunset pictures. Now, I can tell you this much. It's much darker out there right now than what this camera is showing, but we obviously have some good cameras and some good filters, and you can see that pink, and you can see the lightning still out there. Again, just light rain in Winter Garden, but still a decent thunderstorm. Oh yeah, still some rolls of thunder out there. Dolly is next, and then Edward. D. Dolly, E. Edward. Not Elvira, though. That would be something. But again, gorgeous shot there from Winter Garden. That's Sand Lake. Tell you what, Winter Garden almost gets prettier and prettier every second. You guys can see that on top of your screen. Okay. If we don't have another special weather statement before 8 o'clock, I think we will wrap up this particular live stream. I'm going to hold on until 8 o'clock. Only a few more minutes. Again, this would be the cell that I think would warrant it if it did, but likely it's beginning to calm down a bit. And even into the far eastern sides of Hillsborough County, we've seen some of that activity move through. But a gorgeous sunset on the way from Orlando. You can see some of the spottier rain back north and west. But clearly, this is a mass of thunderstorms. It's going to take some time to fully die down. Simple as that. So we're in store for what could still be a wet evening across this area. Some of this activity could work its way back towards the coast. Additional cells could try and sneak along or just west of 75, but they're losing their window of opportunity to do that. Eventually, everything's going to get pulled back off towards the east. But this could be a 10, 11 o'clock variety before things are fully said and done. Now the rain is beginning to weaken a bit, even though there's still some decent lightning out there. And as that is the case, hopefully that means the flood threats also begin to fade away. And while we have these flood advisories, one will expire at the top of the hour, another one not till 8:30. Hopefully we haven't had significant enough rain in the last hour or so where we've really continued any flood concerns in those spots, that the rain has been light enough we've seen more receding water than anything else over the last hour or two. But again, just an evening where we're going to stick around with some storms, although I like the trend and I don't expect these storms to flare back up. Now, don't get me wrong, there will still be some spots that will be noisy with some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds, but likely not exceeding more than 30 miles an hour here, and hopefully not enough additional rain to cause any big flood concerns. Still pouring there, KP, it says. 1.5 inches per hour, and it just turned red outside. Everything is red. Yeah, well, that's from our, you can see that from some of the winter garden camera as well. Hi, Tiger Man. I'm joking. It has rained nearly 2.4 inches so far at Four Corners in Osceola County, where I'm at. Appreciate the report. And that's going to be adding on to that little triangle between I-4, Highway 27, and 192. By the way, did you get any hail by any chance? Because there was a storm spotter report of some nickel-sized hail in Four Corners. Again, doesn't necessarily mean that it was in your spot. Let me pause that real quick. So again, let me just bring up these hail reports if you're just tuning in. The one hail report we had was 2 miles north of Four Corners. It was nickel-sized hail at 5:57. And then the hail report in Winter Garden from the retired National Weather Service employee of dime-sized hail. Oh, no, nickel-sized hail too. And then at my house, we had dime-sized hail. And we lost some patio screens. So, yay me. But it shows you, some of the potential damage that we had and the nature of the storms that we had today, and likely the nature of some of the storms that we're going to have for tomorrow as well. It was small. Gotcha. Okay. Maybe it's, oh, here we go. Okay, it's the flood advisor. It's like, oh, don't issue a special weather statement. Maybe it's perfect timing because I think the Melbourne radar decided to die. I don't think that's the case, but it just didn't come on right away. See if it pops back up now. I think there we go. Okay. So it's a flood advisory now until 9:30. Okay, northeast Osceola. So this is a new flood advisory. Northeastern Osceola County until 9:30. All right. So probably from this cell that we've been talking about, we've been harping on, right? The Polk County one goes until 8:45. But northeast Osceola until 9:30. Hopefully, a lot of that is going to be in pretty rural areas, but that might include St. Cloud, Harmony, and Holopaw. Let me bring on the advisories here real quick. That's the old one. Okay, here's the new one. Till 9:30. So already 2 to 2.5, and a total of 3 to 4.5. And it does include Kissimmee, actually. So Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Narcoossee, East Lake Tahoe, Holopaw, Buenaventura Lakes, West Lake Tahoe, Harmony, Austin Tyndall Park, Osceola Heritage Park, Yeehaw Junction, Campbell, Alligator Lake, and Pine Grove. You guys are under this flood advisory now until 9:30. Hopefully not additional significant weather here, but there still are some spots of some heavier rain. So again, travel probably not advised this late in the day if you can do it, right? Let these thunderstorms wind themselves down. If you don't have to, if it's voluntary travel, probably best just to, let the evening go, stay safe indoors. Why risk it? Sometimes you can't tell how much water is over a roadway. So flood advisory, hopefully just, again, some minor flooding, but some water over roadways is not out of the question. Heavy rain now for nearly 2 hours consistently. Yeah. Denard also said some hail at Osceola Polk County line and Old Lake Wilson Road Reunion area. Appreciate that. Chris also has some heavy rain thunder in the Lakeland area. You can see that on the far western and southwest side of this cell, the lightning count has come up a little bit. So again, this storm is trying to hold together a bit over Lakeland and Plank City. Again, I'm not expecting it to likely even have a special weather statement, but there will still be a couple of spots of some decent impacts with this weather. Portions of Polk, maybe eastern sides of Hillsborough, northeast Lake counties for the most part here. That's where I expect there still to be some, decent storm activity, at least for the next hour or so. Okay. So we went past 8 o'clock again. We haven't had a special weather statement since 7:30. These storms are going to take hours for them to fully die out. All right. So we're going to wrap up this live stream for today with the knowledge that I'll likely be back on sometime tomorrow as well. Again, let me be clear. Lightning will continue throughout the remainder of the 8 o'clock hour through 9 o'clock in Orlando and other areas as well. As we wrap it up, please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews that walk you through the insurance claim process. So if you did have storm damage today and you have to walk through that insurance claim process, reach out to them. They'll make it so much more amenable. You can scan the QR code. It'll take you to their website. You can give them a call, 407-502-0053. Bobby Lee and the team, great folks there as well. Again, you want to become a sponsor of the channel, scan the QR code at the top of your screen right now. You're a Central Florida business owner. You want to sponsor part of the channel, one of our radars or one of our cameras. You can scan that QR code, send me an email, and we can talk. I appreciate all the support of the channel. Again, through our memberships, by liking and subscribing, just the simplest things help out the channel more than you think. The other big thing that really helps out is you guys jump into the chat. Let me know what's happening in your area. Again, a live-only weather channel, so I appreciate that. Still going to see some storms the next couple of hours. I think they're going to cooperate, though. So again, if you don't have to be outside, that's probably the best advice. Thunderstorms are going to run right back up tomorrow. I'll be monitoring the situation. Make sure you have notifications on. That way you'll know when I'm live. I'm going to say YouTube is 100% perfect with these notifications, but if you do have the notifications on, that's the bell icon. You click that, you click all. Again, I'm not going to inundate you with updates and notifications. If you get a notification from me, it's because I'm live covering impactful weather here in Central Florida. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. I'm going to go get some dinner. I'll see you soon on the channel. Until then, take care.